You are listening to the Red Leaf Retrocast, gaming, anime, and wrestling. Your best location to learn, remember, and relive the past to the present. We watch old and seasonal anime, play old and new video games, and watch all the wrestling we can. You are listening to the Wrestling Cast episode, and I hope you enjoy. And welcome to the Red Leaf Retrocast, episode 25 of the WrestleCast edition, titled Dead End at Homecoming. I'm your host, JD, going solo yet again, in an effort to get the most wrestling out to you guys as much as possible from an every 2-week stand. I hope we're doing that well. I will be joined later by Jay from the Smack It Down podcast. He's also a co-host on the Modern Game Cast of the Red Leaf Retrocast. We'll be talking some specific indie wrestling later in the show, and I hope you guys are looking forward to that. The past 2 weeks of wrestling at the end of February have been insane. There's just so much to cover. Just really balls to the wall, lots of good stuff happening from around the world. And so why not waste any more time? Let's just get right into it. I will say, I did try to watch as much as I could. Fight Club Pro over in the UK, Trent Seven's promotion. I have been dying to get started on that wrestling promotion in particular. They just came out with their own streaming service at the top of February. Just haven't had the time to dive into their latest 2 shows from 2019. One includes them going over to Japan. I'm very excited to get into it, so you can probably look forward to that on the next podcast episode. And that might be for the best, considering there's just so much to talk about here. I even went to a Beyond Wrestling show last night. It's the regional promotion out here in New England. They had what's called the Treasure Hunt Tournament. So think of it as a King of the Ring, 16 karat gold tournament, whatever promotion you watch. It's a knockout tournament. Between 8 people were in it. It's an intergender tournament, so 4 guys, 4 girls. The whole first round was guy against a woman, and they knocked it out of the park. The whole show was this treasure hunt. The winner gets the Beyond Wrestling Golden Medallion, which gives them a shot at the Independent Wrestling Championship at any time of their choosing. So I'm not quite sure if that means it's a Money in the Bank situation, or they just get to call their shot, and then at a later show, they did it. I imagine the winner is going to be saved for their American Rana event. That's Beyond Wrestling's biggest show of the year every year. So, this had a lot of good competitors in it, from Solo Darling, Jordan Grace, David Starr, etc. Well, the highlight of it all was Chris Statlander, a woman wrestler that's seemingly coming out of nowhere. She's been killing it lately. I first saw her at a few Beyond Wrestling shows ago. Even at Heavy Lies the Crown, she had a one-on-one match against MJF. She looks good. She has a presence and stature about her. She's got a good build. She was the highlight. She's the winner of the Treasure Hunt Tournament, defeating the likes of David Starr in round 1, Jordan Grace in round 2, and then Beyond Wrestling's mainstay guy, Chris Dickinson, the Dirty Daddy. He's known for fighting a lot of women in the promotion, kind of the intergender specialist, you might say. Even ESPN has done an article on Beyond Wrestling, intergender wrestling, and Dickinson's always at the forefront. So if you're wondering why Chris Statlander beat a person like David Starr, well, that's because David Starr and Dickinson have a thing going against each other where Dickinson distracted Starr. Statlander took advantage of Starr's kind of losing his mental focus in the match. Statlander did go over Grace clean, and Dickinson, just before getting to the finals, was jumped by David Starr. Dickinson gets the DQ, so he gets to the final, but Starr puts a chair into Dickinson's back, and that did play a little bit of kayfabe in the finals of Statlander versus Dickinson, but quickly the back injury was not played off as the match went on, which I was kind of disappointed about, but that didn't really take away from Statlander's victory, the winner, and she deserved it. It was a standing ovation at the end. Like, she couldn't really, you could tell mentally that she was holding a lot of emotions back at the time. Even Dickinson got on the mic and said, he gets a lot of flack for wrestling women as hard as he does, and let me tell you, those chops and stiff hits he was giving all night to all the women he was facing was no joke. So amazing stuff there. Next up is another Ice Ribbon show, which I'm happy always to cover. It's kind of my not so much guilty pleasure women's promotion out there, but it's definitely something not a lot of people watch. I'm definitely a fan of it. I came into it last year. They had kind of this number one contender type show. This is Ice Ribbon 940. There was a singles match that stood out of Takia Saya facing Yoshiko, and I know Yoshiko from Stardom, where she's basically been blacklisted out of that company for just terrible things she's done, basically breaking kayfabe and doing a shoot fight, and that didn't go over well. Well, they have a good match nonetheless, and good funny GIF moment at the end of Saya gaining the respect of Yoshiko, where they do a fun little fist bump sequence. But the main event was the takeaway from this whole thing. It was a three-way match, 2 out of 3 falls, which is interesting. And it was decided via a stepladder randomizer, where you run your finger down a stepladder and then you get to the end of the stepladder and you get a color or something, and that'll choose your opponent. So the end result was the 3 people involved was Tsukushi, Maika Ozaki. I'm botching the names here. I shouldn't be. Satsuki Totoro. So it went down where Tsukushi defeats Ozaki and Totoro. So it went 2-1-1. So it did come down to the last fall, as 2 out of 3 falls always do, seemingly. Totoro is basically a rookie. She's a bigger girl. She looked like a rookie in the match, but she's bigger and she kind of has a presence about her, so I can understand a little bit of the push here, or at least the focus. But the match focus itself was Tsukushi and Maika Ozaki, and those two went a total of 19 minutes when you put their 2 falls together, which is really cool. Tsukushi looked absolutely fantastic in the victory, and while the longer the match went on, obviously the time and how much they were working got to the bigger Maika Ozaki. She's got this power lifter look to her. Really, she's got a great look. I loved her ring work in this match, but Tsukushi was definitely the one who shined the most at the end of the day, especially at the end of the match when it all kind of came together. Still looks good. Good single showing for the tag champion in Ice Ribbon, who is Maika Ozaki. But alas, Tsukushi is the next challenger for Maya Yukihi's title. Cool. I love it. So definitely keeping my eye on that. I'm quite excited for more Ice Ribbon in the future. So, moving right along, and I'm sure a lot of people and a lot of fans of the Red Leaf Wrestlecast have been just dying because I've even been getting DMs on Twitter all the time, which you can contact me at BowlingJD, or just use the hashtag RedLeafRetrocast if any shows you want us to cover. Well, been getting to plenty. When are you guys going to cover Dragon Gate? And I've been on the record saying, usually Dragon Gate's not my thing. Just don't kind of have the star power. I watched it briefly years ago. I have a lot of DVDs from like the early 2010s and 2011s when Tsima and a lot of those guys, Shingo Takagi, were huge in the promotion. I finally got the time. This is where a lot of my extra wrestling watching time came into play. I watched a lot of Dragon Gate. I started from Pac winning the title last year versus Masato Yoshino, who defended. He's had the title a few times. I do recognize the name. So that was a 2018 match. I watched that show to get refamiliarize myself with a lot of the wrestlers, and there's a lot of young guys that have come up that I'm not aware of. It's still got a lot of the veteran mainstays from back. Seema's not really part of it anymore. Shingo Takagi is obviously in New Japan now, but a lot of those mid-card guys have kind of had to step up, and so I did recognize a lot of those names. However, there's a lot of standout wrestlers now. 4. I marked down 4 in particular from all the Dragon Gate shows that I watched from 2019 so far. I watched a lot of Truth Gate. That's been going on in February, so very recent. The standout wrestlers are Shun Skywalker, Ben K, U-T, U-T, and KZ, KZY. And I'll tell you a little bit about these guys each. Shun Skywalker's 22 years old. He's a masked wrestler. He's got a sweet little Japanese kind of gotcha man look. If you're an anime fan, you know the reference. UT is a more junior heavyweight wrestler. He reminds me a lot of Kushida in a lot of ways. Not in the wrestling style, but definitely in the look and build and speed of the guy. Ben K is a more powerful dude. He does a lot more suplexes, gut wrenches. He's got crazy wild contacts in where the whites of his eyes shows more. And then KZ has this rapper type gimmick. It's quite funny. It's like a male idol group, boy band kind of thing. It's pretty funny. He's real quick and skinny and he's got a good gimmick to him. I like it. So these 4 guys are all 25 or younger. I'm all about them. It's always good when I think when you have a new viewer, or at least a viewer coming back, you have all these young guys that are clearly being pushed at the top for singles runs, and they stand out the way they did. But the standout match that I watched is from Truthgate Day 5, which took place in mid-February. I believe the day before New Japan Osaka, so that would be about February 10th-ish. That match went on... I didn't say the match. It was Pac defending his title, the Dreamgate title, the first defense against the number 1 contender who won a triple threat match at a previous Truthgate day. I believe that was day 3. KZ. That match went 25 minutes, 20 seconds. It was high energy, high-paced, lots of high spots, high flying. It is exactly what you'd think when you associate Dragon Gate. Dragon Gate's very much more high-paced. Imagine an entire Japanese wrestling promotion comprised of the junior heavyweight division. That's what Dragon Gate is to me, and this is exactly what the type of match that I got out of it. I absolutely loved it. From the start to finish, it really made me believe KZ was going to win at any point, hitting his signature frog splashes. He's all about the quick jab uppercuts, as I'm going to call them. He even hit one that was more like a phenomenal forearm from the top turnbuckle. Pretty cool stuff. But yet, Pac, despite kind of a suspension of disbelief, because Pac's been signed by AEW, so he could lose the title at any point, even in his first defense. but he's way over there. He's a huge heel. At one point, he goes for the dick punt to DQ himself, and Casey blocks it. But nonetheless, Pac successfully defends the title. Great match. I might be watching more Dragon Gate in the future. I'm definitely going to watch the March 3rd show, because post-match, Shun Skywalker, who's been on a roll of singles match victories, including a triple threat that was earlier on Truthgate Day 5, he challenges Pac, and Pac goes, "You've impressed me." So they're having a March 3rd title match. I'm excited. I'm down. Shun Skywalker has been one of the highlights of watching Dragon Gate. So fun. Well, with that, moving right along to the Wrestler Spotlight.
But I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal. So you got 25% at best at beating me.
Okay. So the Wrestler Spotlight this time is someone whom has had a 30-plus year career, I believe 35 in total, 32 in New Japan, and he goes by the name of Takashi Iizuka, or Iizuka, however you want to pronounce it. I say Iizuka. He just had his retirement show, and now that he's officially retired, he qualifies for a spotlight, and I watched the retirement show. It was very good. It was a good way to go out. A little background of Takashi Iizuka. He made his debut in 1986, and you can't talk about Iizuka without mentioning kind of how the retirement show went down, because it ended his storied career with Tenzan trying to bring the man out of the animal, so to say, making reference to their own past as a tag team when they were part of the friendship tag. So Tenzan does pin him in the end with one last-ditch effort to turn him back into a normal human, get that good feel moment for the crowd, but it really didn't matter. The crowd was cheering for Iizuka the entire time. Lots of respect. But Iizuka wasn't having it. Despite the tease and the mental change, Suzuki Gun hits the ring for a post-match beatdown. Iizuka uses the Iron Claw, does one final pass through the audience of his Crazy Man gimmick as Minoru Suzuki's ringing the bell 10 times. Very fitting. Iizuka leaves his trademark iron glove in the ring. So, I loved it. And why did they do that? Well, Iizuka was known as a perennial mid-carder for a long time. His whole career, you might say. He did have multiple tag titles to his credit, with multiple partners. All led to some sort of deathmatch blood feud in the end. You'll understand why. But even at one point, he did win the G1 Tag League with Yuji Nagata in 2000, and 2000 was Iizuka's probably his most successful year because of the G1 Tag League win, and he even had an IWGP title shot against Kensuke Sasaki, whom that's a story in itself, who Sasaki is, but he was an IWGP champion. He's one of the few Triple Crown champions in Japan that have existed. So, but nonetheless, Iizuka is also known for his nickname, the Great Traitor, due to his seemingly always betraying the stable or friends that he's made. Most notably was his betraying of Tenzan from Friendship Tag in joining GBH, Great Bash Heel. And then he later betrayed GBH as he was actually an inside man for Suzuki-gun. So lots of betraying there. So the Great Traitor, that's where that comes from. And in 2010, he went through kind of that. When he joined Suzuki-gun, he kind of went through that change of what we now know him as, kind of the crazy dude with the iron glove and the mask on and everything. And when he joined Suzuki-gun, he went over with them when Suzuki-gun did the invasion angle in Noah in 2014. So I hope I have all the dates right. I'm also working off a lot of memory. So, very cool. Iizuka had about a good as match as you can do after 32 years. He did a lot of the death matches. He did, I believe, a few bull rope death matches with Yuji Nagata. He usually won them, I believe. Nagata did get one win over him, memory serves. So, Iizuka, we're gonna miss you. It's good that you went out the way you did. I don't mind the keeping the kayfabe bad character. I would definitely recommend going back and watching basically his heel turns, not really his matches. Some of the death matches. Yuji Nagata would be the one to check out for sure. But I always got a kick out of the heel turns. I went back and watched them recently. They're quite good. All right. Nice and short. And with that, time to get into our weekly wrestling recap. Okay. Weekly wrestling recap. Something we started in 2019 for the Red Leaf Retrocast. Kind of an ambitious one. Get to see how these promotions change week to week. We usually don't do this. We usually just cover main shows. But we have been keeping up with MLW and Impact Wrestling. Since we go 2 weeks at a time with these episodes, naturally, we go 2 weeks of weekly wrestling recap. So, MLW, episode 45 and 46, February 16th and the 23rd shows. They're now moving to Sundays, which is quite nice. I could get used to that. Nice little Sunday afternoon. I record a lot of my podcasts on Sunday afternoons, and right when I'm done with that, MLW's starting up on the YouTube. But let's get into episode 45. MLW had kind of a quiet week. Quiet 2 weeks. We got a cold open of Davey Boy Smith Jr., just loving Japan and Japanese culture. Kind of a weird cold open, if you ask me. Zelina De La Renta. Haven't seen a lot of Promociones Dorado since Super Fight. In general, kind of surprising. Just little short Instagram-type promos from Zelina De La Renta. She informs us all low-key is getting his rematch. I believe it's in a cage match at Intimidation Games in Chicago. She even makes a comment where she makes fun of us Mark fans. I kind of like that. She even had a promo later, I believe in episode 46, where she refused to take an interview, and she goes, I don't speak English anymore, and they go, well, Spanish, and then she goes, well, I have a selective memory, I don't speak Spanish now, and then she talks to him in French, and she's like, yeah, that's what I thought. It's kind of funny. So, Zelina De La Renta, low-key, getting Tom Lawler, rematch. I hope it's better than the first time. First match, Ace Austin versus Rich Swann. So Ace Austin's kind of an up-and-coming guy for MLW, recently signed. Strange off-pace match that also ends like the ref didn't know the finish. What happened was he goes for a 2 count. Ace Austin kind of hooks the half and keeps the shoulders down. The ref stops the count before a 3, like he assumed Swann was going to kick out, and then he counts the 4. Everyone's kind of confused, like, oh, okay, that was weird. Well, the story, I guess, is Swann's turning heel here. And it makes it very clear when Swann slaps the ref in anger before, not Matt Striker gets in the ring, but another interview guy gets in the ring so he could talk to Swann. He kind of slaps him out of the ring, too. So, weird frustration finish is turning Rich Swann heel. To go along with his losses that have been piling up recently. You know, he lost to Dragon Lee, lost to Strickland, I believe, so I guess there's some continuity there. I see it anyways. Mid-match, a lot of matches happening last few weeks on MLW, is there's these subliminal messages coming across the screen saying Contra. So I guess we're getting a debut here. Not to be confused with the Konami video game of the 90s, the 80s and 90s. We got a debut here. MLW is doing a lot of debuts lately, since a lot of their talent's been signed elsewhere. You know, losing Dragon Lee, Roosh, and all those guys, Strickland and ACH. They're all gone. No more MLW for them. But we get big dude, Alex Hammerstone. The name says it alone. He is a big brick shithouse type of build guy. Well, he just comes out and crushes Ariel Dominguez. So we'll see where Alex Hammerstone goes from here. We get a promo of Mance Warner coming next week. He's the CZW kind of young guy that's on the up and up. So we'll see what's happened with him. And then we get our middleweight title match. Teddy Hart defending successfully against MJF. Get a good pre-match MJF promo as the usual. The match was fine. I mean, it's a Teddy Hart match, so you know what you're going to get. You're going to get no in-ring psychology, no story here, but you get a lot of just smooth move sequences here. So if that's for you, then great. I mean, I take it for what it's worth. It's Teddy Hart, so just enjoy the spectacle of it all, I suppose. We get a ref bump finish with MJF trying to cheat to win, but Teddy Hart kind of nut shots him back. And then electric chair breaker to the moonsault for the win. And backstage, Teddy Hart gets a beatdown from MJF and his new lackey for his troubles. So kind of says, "Oh, my fucking ribs," kind of deal. But naturally, of course, he's not going to sell that later. He's Teddy Hart. On to episode 46. We get another debut, Lance Anoa'i, who's the cousin of Roman Reigns, and sure as shit looks like him, just not as cut. Well, he's facing Rich Swann, so Rich Swann gets another opening match here. Not much of a match, I will say. It was also weird because Anoa'i is twice the size of Swann, and he was playing the beaten down babyface role. He got a couple moves in, not really having any character here, so this is all about Swann turning heel. That's where the story was. Swann gets the cheap heel, pulling the tights with the foot on the ropes win over the bigger guy, so take that for what it's worth. Swann's heel. We get a bunch of promo segments on this episode of MLW. We get Tom Lawler doing his fight type promo for the match coming up at Intimidation Games. We get MJF calling Teddy Hart a phony with his lackey, which matches his personality quite well. I quite like this pairing. Later, Teddy Hart even does a weird fourth wall type promo saying him and how he made a bunch of money selling drugs and Davey Boy Smith saved up all his money from WWE in Japan, where they don't need the money, they're just here in MLW to win titles. So kind of fourth wall breaking. It was comical. Then we do get a promo from Mance Warner before his match, where he has a whiteboard and he says things along the lines of, "This is how I'd book my match," and he just says it's going to involve eye pokes, light beer, and his knee pad going up and down. So it was kind of funny. I like it. It was good. So he debuts versus Beyond Wrestling's Jimmy Uta. He was in the Treasure Hunt tournament. Lost to Jordan Grace, might add. So Uta simply plays the enhancement wrestler to Warner here. Mance is a brawler type. This is the first I've seen Mance Warner. Plenty of charisma, I will say. He resonates well with the crowd. But he clearly has a ways to go. His ring work is, he gets lost a lot of the times. He's out of position. The brawler type, I don't know if it works for what MLW has. He's definitely different. So we'll see where he goes from here. He does win naturally. But yeah, he just punches a lot, and his finisher's a knee, not just a regular knee strike. So we'll see. I'm not holding my breath right now, but luckily he has plenty of character, which a lot of wrestlers do lack these days. I will admit. And finally, our main event on episode 46, Aerostar versus Ray Horace. Very excited for it. Very excited for it. We get a huge video package of Aerostar being Super Luchador himself. Matt Striker's cutting just weird Lucha Underground type backgrounds of Aerostar, being able to travel through time and Aztec beliefs. And I don't know if it works for MLW, but hey, Matt Striker's trying, I guess. But the main event knocks it out of the park. Just completely from a luchador standpoint, a lucha match. if you don't watch a lot of CMLL or just Lucha in general, MLW is a nice place to get it, and this is a great match for that. Aerostar just especially looked amazing, as most of the match played out specifically for him to highlight many of the moves we just saw in the video package prior. But despite all that, Ray Horace is the one who gets the win. He had some flashes here or there, but it was mostly Aerostar in this match, and Ray Horace does his crazy spinning package pin bomb off the turnbuckle. So strange in the winner based on the build-up to it all. And before I forget, I did watch CMLL from last Friday night, which took place on February 22nd. I do have a recommended match, and that is Cavernario versus Titan in a 2 out of 3 falls match. You can find that on YouTube, CMLL's site. It comes in at the hour 7 mark. Very good match. They get a standing ovation from the crowd between Cavernario and Titan, to the point where they were throwing coins in the ring in celebration of their great match. Excellent stuff. And with that, we can move on to Impact Wrestling. So, Impact Wrestling. Okay, this has been a journey since Greg Chang from the B Plus podcast, my boys over there. Go listen to them. I like them. Aussie Graps. We talked a lot of Impact on the last episode. It went really long, but it was good. There was good reason for it all, because it was all leading up to this show, and then possibly playing off that into the next show, the February 15th show, Uncaged. They titled it as kind of their major show of February that they were pushing, and then the February 22nd, the Fallout show. So arguably your 2 biggest shows since the Homecoming pay-per-view, which didn't turn out too well, I might add. But there's been plenty of story build for everything to kind of culminate on these 2 shows. Well, how did they turn out? Well, Uncaged on February 15th starts out with a street fight as Taya defends the Knockouts championship against Tessa Blanchard. Good match. Great showing. Easily their best match between each other, I say. Don't agree with Taya winning here. And I say that because there's no contender set up for Taya Valkyrie. She's not getting over with the crowd, so she needs to turn heel like yesterday. This would have been a good match. If you're going to have her win, then... Because Tessa Blanchard's golden right now. She's got this thing going on with Gail Kim, teasing that, coming out of retirement. In the background, we have this dark war with Allie and Rosemary stuff happening. Jordan Grace is in total limbo. Kiera Hogan, she got some wins, great. Nothing's in the works, though, that we can see. So, a good post-match beatdown. Taya getting on the mic saying, I don't need your shit. Maybe, who knows? Maybe that gets her off as a tweener character. But no. None of that. So I guess we're going to have to deal with Taya Valkyrie, Bland Girl herself, as the champion, as Tessa Blanchard becomes the big deal without even the title. So, I don't agree with the title not being on Tessa when that and Gail Kim just speaks more to me as a fan. And I think a lot of you can agree with that. We get a lot of backstage promos and interviews, setting up matches later on Uncaged, naturally. So, we get Cross doing a promo, we get Team AAA doing their promo because they got their match versus Team Impact later. Just a lot of yada yada stuff between the two teams. I did notice that in Cross's promo, near the end, we get a glimpse of Willie Mack joining the Christ brothers in a room. Could be something, but could also be nothing in terms of Callahan and Swan. So we'll see. Maybe that's just my mind playing tricks on me. Who knows? Well, later we get Swan and Callahan. They meet in the ring for basically the same Join OVE promo yet again. Swan denies him, and Swan gets a massive beatdown following his denial. So I get it. Just kind of disappointed that there was no hint of anything else, no swerve on it. Maybe Swan joins him. Maybe Willie Mack comes out. Nah, just get a beatdown. So, I mean, it's classic stuff. I get it. Was expecting a little bit more than just a beatdown. So, next match, Team AAA versus Team Impact. Well, Team AAA gets the win, and this is mostly because of Eli Drake costing Eddie Edwards the match. He cracks him over the head with a kendo stick. Okay, it was your typical match with the turn as we all expected, with the characters involved. Not much else to say about it. But we get main event time, so this show just flew by. We get the Fatal 4-Way title match. Killer Kross versus Moose versus Brian Cage versus the champion Johnny Impact, and it goes to basically a dud. Crowd seemed pretty dead. I was kind of even disinterested as the match went on. Even a lame ending where we see Johnny hit Starship Pain on Moose, basically misses the whole thing. And while he goes for the pin, Cage is busy right next to him hitting Drill Claw on Kross, and instead of breaking up the pin, he then goes for the pin, and we get this weird another weird 4-count situation with the referee to, I guess, try and time it right. So, just makes Cage just kind of go, he lost, whatever. To me, this, ended it. Sure, it's not a one-on-one rematch again, but Cage just didn't do anything to really warrant. It just made everyone look kind of weak in the end. I don't know. The match didn't do much for me. The booking didn't do it much for me with the arguable double pin situation. So maybe they'll address this next week on Impact. Well, let's find out on the February 22nd edition of Impact Wrestling on Twitch. Well, we get a cold open of Johnny Impact doing a I Did It For You and Me promo that nobody likes. Says he will be on to new challengers because now he's beaten everybody. Okay. I go, alright, your promo sucked, but, you're staying in continuity. It kind of goes with the main event of my feelings watching it. Well, this ended very fast because Moose comes out, the guy he pinned in the match, and then Kross comes out immediately, and what we see here is a systematic destruction of characters. Everyone involved. And what I mean by this is, first of all, Kross and Moose have been pinned clean by Johnny Impact recently. Kross's case multiple times. Moose's case, you got pinned last week. And then all three of them proceed to do the most cringy, nonsensical promos you could possibly do. I almost wish these were scripted, because then I have someone to blame other than the wrestlers. But nonetheless, you could hear the air just getting sucked out of the crowd on this. Moose blames Kross for random stuff. Kross calls him a betrayer and says his clothes are lame. Moose just like, you don't make fun of my clothes. Johnny butts in. And I go, I don't know, those clothes are kind of lame. He kind of wants them to fight each other, I guess. He even suggests a number one contender match, and then that gets broken up and DQ'd by fucking Johnny himself in the end. So, okay. Cage comes out, makes a save. For whatever fucking reason, nothing matched character work here. It just made no sense to me. Just everyone seems ruined. The audience sure as shit does not care. It's just incredible how these four guys are your main event dudes right now. Because Eli Drake's busy with Eddie Edwards in confusing kendo stick booking, hardcore storyline still. It just comes across as flat. Your main event guys are all flat and ruined now as far as I'm concerned. And it gets worse later because Cage and Johnny are sitting back without their shirts on, because they're hot dudes and they got to show the muscles off. Fair enough. They're talking, and Cage calls him his friend. He's like, yeah, things got a little heated, no problem, whatever. To me, this is him accepting his loss. Johnny Impact got the better of him. And then Johnny just tells him, I still think we should have a singles match together. So I want us to take out Cross and Moose, obviously for his own benefit. And Cage just goes, well, I don't know, man. So Johnny presents him with a contract. If you help me out with this Cross and Moose situation, you'll get your title shot. Sign the dotted line. Cage is like, okay. So if there's not a fucking heel turn coming out of this, I don't know what's the deal, but the way they have made Cage come across as this geek now is not, it's not good for character building. That's not who Cage is. That's not who they built up with him beating Lashley and EC3 and all these guys, just coming across as this destroyer. No one can pin him. They even make him look strong in matches, and now with this character work of we're still cool, right? Kind of friends situation. The character to me has been totally ruined. He's a geek. Now if Johnny turns heel, it's too telegraphed. It's gonna take some miraculous booking and character work if this heel turn does go. I'm loss of words, because to me it should have happened at Uncaged. Maybe anything should have happened the previous week. We'll see if he turns heel or not. I don't know. I'm still holding out hope that it's going to be a both Impact and Taya turn, like kind of a power couple heel turn thing. I know that's been done before, but that, I guess, could work better than just Johnny turning heel and Taya being like, oh my god, what happened to my husband? So we'll see. Moving on with the show, there was a lot of that really irritated me as an Impact Wrestling fan of what's been going on. And then the rest of the show, besides the main event, it was much better than the opener, that's for sure. That just lasted a long time, because we even got their GW or Global Wrestling Network moments directly after that. So we do get a really funny fucking segment of the Rascals smoking in the back, that 70s show style as they do, and Gama Singh of all people shows up, and he's like, and he pulls out his shisha, his hookah. He's like, I got the real shit to smoke. He makes the Rascals do it, and they have like huge convulsions because they just can't handle how good Gama Singh's sticky icky is. So I took this as a possible effort for Gama Singh to get the Rascals so high they can't wrestle as they're facing the Desi Hit Squad later. Well, the match happens, and the super high Rascals win anyways. It was a super funny segment. The match was okay, but the Desi Shit Squad continues nonetheless. We get Eli Drake and Eddie Edwards. They have a match. Eddie wins on a roll-up after Drake screws up using the kendo stick for whatever reason. It just came across as looking awkward how it went down, like Eli Drake was going to be okay with the DQ, which goes against everything he's been saying. And to go along with that, Drake looked, he made this face like he deserved to lose there. He's like, you got me kind of deal. So I don't really get it. It's getting kind of convoluted at this point, at least how it's coming across to me anyways. We get some more, we get a nice little interesting hospital visit segment where Sami Callihan visits Rich Swann in the hospital because last week he beat the shit out of him. And he's telling him, I see your potential. I'm doing this for you. I'm sorry, we're family kind of deal. And then a nurse comes in and goes, you can't be here, it's family only. And Rich Swann says he is family. So we can take this a few ways. Remember Willie Mack in the back? He's been partnering up with Rich Swann, not lately, but he has, from Willie Mack's debut. They've been a buddy thing going on. Rich Swann did get the shit kicked out of him. So this means two things. Either he's gotten the sense knocked into him, and if he joins OVE, like, yeah, Callahan, you're right. Or it's a ploy, it's Swan's idea to get revenge. You know, I'll join you and then I'll kick the shit out of you. So that was probably the most interesting segment of the show. It definitely saved how I felt last week, where it's like, okay, it's a beatdown. We see that every time, you know? So that was interesting. I quite like that. The line of Rich Swann not meeting his potential when he's the current X Division champ, that, just a little line there, but, you know. Moving on. Tessa Blanchard destroys and beats the hell out of Alicia Edwards and Delilah Doom as they had a singles match. Well, it was called off because Tessa Blanchard's got some shit to figure out. She got some steam to blow off. You know, she lost her Knockouts title. She just lost clean in the street fight to Taya fucking Valkyrie. And she's pissed off at management, Impact Management. She's doing what she wants, and this is her getting the attention that they're just out to protect Gail Kim. So, Tessa Blanchard looking like a badass. Great booking. I love it. Continues to be a good highlight for Impact Wrestling. Then we get the Dark War segment. Rosemary accepts James Mitchell's offer of a Dark War of Mitchell's team versus Rosemary's team in order to get the Soul Valley back at the expense of Rosemary joining Mitchell should she lose. So, the stipulation and incentive is all there in this batshit crazy storyline. Maybe we'll finally get a conclusion here. Rosemary should win. God help me if it's Kira fucking Hogan and Jordan Grace in a 6-woman tag match. Might be good. Might come off flat, as I'm thinking. I'm worried about that. I'd like to see some just random crazy talent all painted up like Rosemary against Allie and Su Yung and company. That's what I'd rather see. Kira Hogan maybe does a run-in, costs him the match, and Allie gets her soul back. Possibilities are there. Finally, main event time. Tag title rematch. Lucha Bros versus LAX. They can't have a bad match. It's impossible. Well, they did it again. Good match. Shorter than usual. I mean, we have seen them face each other. This is the third time in less than 2 months, so I liked it was a little bit quicker. Get it out of the way. Main event, great. Highlight tag team wrestling. I love it. Post-match, LAX is finally pissed off. They've had enough. They lost their titles. They look like fools now. They rip the masks off of the Lucha Bros in frustration. It goes to a cold stop. More to come, I would imagine. Hell yeah. Start off really frustrating with this main event, because this main event at Impact for the Impact title with Johnny Impact and company, that's a fucking mess right now. It's you gotta figure this out yesterday. You know what I mean? So Impact's getting on a short stick. There's still a lot of things I like about it and where they're heading. Some things, are better than others naturally. That main event scene is a clusterfuck. Things gotta be figured out now. So that does it for Impact. Hope I am wrong? Right? We'll see. Moving on to the indie shows. Okay. Probably one of my favorite promotions that I have been watching lately, at least in 2019. I always like watching Stardom, Wonder Ring Stardom. But 2019's off to a very good start for the promotion, I must say. We're covering the Kyoto February 2nd show and the Korakuen February 17th show. So 2 shows. They dropped a ton of shows in February. I'm trying to keep up with it all. It's crazy. So, the February 2nd show in Kyoto, we saw Jamie Hayter versus Momo Watanabe for the Wonder title, the white belt. And this is Jamie Hayter's best showing I think I've I've seen. The amount Jamie Hayter is improving is at a phenomenal rate. She was on my biggest, most improved wrestlers of the year list last year. And just a really good match. Momo Watanabe does successfully defend it. That was her 10th defense of the title. She has now tied the white belt defense record. So in her next defense, she looks to break it. We'll get there. But yeah, Jamie Hayter, her slaps are looking good. Her sequences are looking good. She's getting used to working that Japanese strong style. She's getting used to flowing with all the wrestlers in Stardom more and more. And Momo Watanabe, being fucking 18 years old, is a friggin' star in the making. Her character, her swagger, her mic work, it's just rapidly improving on levels that this is why not only Stardom gave her the title last summer, but also that passing of the torch moment with Io Shirai. She's proven it more and more, and I've been contacted with comments saying this Utami and Momo combination of these two young people who can't work, you guys are high. If you guys think Utami's not on the fast track for good reason, you're wrong. And if you think Momo can't work a match, I don't know what the hell you're watching. I think you're just looking at an 18-year-old and you just assume. But Momo Watanabe is on a different level. She is the future of Stardom, and there is good reason for it. This is a good match. Why? Go watch Jamie Hayter versus Momo Watanabe. Great stuff. So moving on. Hana Kimura put in 2 real good singles match showings. One versus Konami, and one versus Starlight Kid. Starlight Kid's got a really tiny body. She's starting to fill out a little bit more. A little worried for the injuries that are going on, because Saki Kashima came down with an injury recently at a recent show. Because she's real skinny. Taking that Japanese strong style with the tiny body is always worrying. Nonetheless, Hana Kimura, she's got the character work down pat. She's got that heel cocky persona. She's got a good different look to her than everyone else. She stands out, and her ring game is starting to pick up. You know, she gets a little sloppy at times, but she brings a sort of realism to it as well. So her match versus Konami, I really liked. Konami's only like 22 years herself, so Stardom's got a bright future in general. So Hana Kimura, great job. On these shows, and on Samurai TV, as they were referencing, that's where Stardom gets put on, they were teasing another new Oedo Tai member. So Jamie Hayter just joined recently, and so this was teased in Shinkiba, those shows in between the Kyoto and Korakuen show. We get a new Oedo Tai member, kind of a funny promo of basically Junko Kiona, Natsuko Tora, and a few other people just basically calling Kagetsu a lying piece of shit. Like, you're full of it, you're full of yourself. She just likes to talk. And she goes, well, I'll bring out X. She's calling this new member X. She does a sick front missile leg drop from the top rope to Maul, and everyone's kind of shocked, like, oh my god, she was telling the truth, there is a new member. And then she goes, you're gonna have to come to Korakuen, find out who X is. So nice little tease, I like that. Because the Korakuen show was a big one. This one, we got Jamie Hayter improving yet again in her singles match in a good showing against Konami. This was a good example of Jamie Hayter running a match this time, working it. While Konami played the babyface comeback character where she does a quick little comeback, gets him in the triangle lancer. As we know, it has a 100% chance of victory. And it certainly showed here. So they're definitely getting that move over. We had a high-speed title match. Hazuki defending against Azumi. AZM. That's how it's spelled. Azumi loses. Azumi, holy shit, her improvement. She looks older, which is good. She's getting her own look to her. She looks more built. You can see her kind of shoulders filling out more. She's definitely running the ropes much faster than what we saw in 2018. So this match was really good. I really like the improvement coming from Azumi. Even she's getting a little bit more of a swagger from her. She's taking the mic a little bit more. Looking good. Nonetheless, Hazuki still looks like $1 million, guys. She's the future. Like, she has it. Hazuki has it. This is why she has the title. She needs to talk more. Maybe take advantage of her situation a little bit more. I'd like to see more of what we got of the Hazuki who got the build to her red belt title match against Kagetsu, where she got on the mic a little bit more. I'd like to see that Hazuki more. Not so much so the botched shooting star press Hazuki. I don't want her to break her neck and die. I want to see more of this cocky version of her. It fits Oedo Tai. It fits her look and character. And she's got a good bodybuilder type too. So I think it could work out. New Oedo Tai member, guys. I was trying to figure out in my mind who this could possibly be. Of all the maybe free agents going around, or freelancers, or maybe someone in Stardom that might betray, because there was hints of that going on with Azumi or Tom Nakano, and the missile dropkick really threw me off, because I was like, who the hell is that? Well, she comes out, and she reveals half tights, like Konami, where it's like shorts on one side, pants on the other, and she has these black and purple diamonds. And then something clicked in my head, and I go, wait, whoa, that looks familiar. But I couldn't think of it. It's like, who the hell is this? It's similar it turns out it's similar to a wrestler over in Sendai Girls, the show I just started watching this year. It's freaking Miyagi. And then she goes by the name Andress Miyagi in Stardom now, but she's Miyagi in Sendai. So you can track the last name. Man, she's got a good look to her. She was one of the standout performers when I watched the Sendai Girls show. That was she was in a 8-person tag match with the likes of I want to say Shida was in it. Aja Kong was definitely in it. Matsumoto was in it. So among that group of people, and she still managed to stand out. She's on the younger side too. She's only about 24, I believe. And she looked great in this match. They put her over. Looks good. I'm excited for Miyagi in Stardom. She's got a little bit of ring work to work on, but she's young enough. I think her future is incredibly bright. She's definitely a standout. And finally, the main event, Queen's Quest, team of Momo and Utami, and their tag titles, the goddess of tag titles, as they are defending against Stars, the team of Arisa and Mayu Iwatani. Gotta say, Arisa's ring rust is really starting to dissipate, and I love it. Her kicks are looking more flush. They're connecting. She's hitting her signature and key moves more. They were a little off. Her body was getting beaten up there. Because that takes back to Mayu's little, Arisa, your body's not ready for this kind of deal. Well, it's developing. She's coming back. Arisa's looking great. So, nonetheless, Momo and Utami continue their collecting all of the titles and keeping their titles. Continues. Momo gets on the mic post-match and she just brags about how Queen's Quest, how great they are, how great Momo and Utami are, how great she is, considering she's now defended the tag titles for the 3rd time. She's going to be breaking the Wonder title record, and she wants her 11th defense to be the first person she beat for the white belt, and that's Jungle Kyona. In her and in Jungle Kyona's hometown of Nagoya, nonetheless. So she talks shit, Jungle Kyona just on the mic, or on the apron, just staring at her, being like, alright, bitch. Because Jungle Kyona's losing a lot lately. Every chance she gets, she loses. Whether it's the tag titles, the red belt, 5-star Grand Prix, when push came to shove, she lost right at the end. I sense a defeat incoming. I think this bow down to the queen all the time, cocky Momo Watanabe, 10 defenses, breaking records, I think it's coming back to bite her. I sense defeat. I sense Jungle Kyona has more to prove in this match, and Momo's a little bit too cocky. A little 18-year-old cockiness getting the best of you. I like that little story. Even if it's made up in my head, I like it. So there you go. That does it for Stardom. I'm looking forward to the shows that are coming up. I like where all these people are developing. I like the new faces that we're seeing in Stardom, or returning faces, because I already saw hinting of the next show. Sumi Sakai is in Stardom. So there's a little hint for future things to come. Well, okay. With that, it's time to talk the rest of the indie shows in New Japan. We got RPW High Stakes coming up, OTT Homecoming 2, WXW Dead End 18, New Japan, New Beginning Osaka, I haven't even got to, Honor Rising Japan. Jesus Christ, we got so much to do. Hopefully we can bust through that. And then we'll end with some WCW Slamboree 98. Stay tuned. What happens here at the Red Leaf Retrocast when we discover our hidden desires? It's a good workout,
yes.
The arcade version.
So they got you for that shake weight, you know?
Oh boy.
The Afterburner arcade system, the original shake weight. It is not sexual at all. You're a D-pad, shut up.
You're a D-pad.
You're a joystick.
Ooh.
I'm not a joystick. I'm just going to shake weight my Afterburner for my joystick.
Oh boy.
I need new pants.
You need help taking them off, Colin? Kevin?
Yeah, I like when you confuse me.
Say my wrong name.
Do you want me to be him? Is that what you want?
You never look. You never. Oh no.
You can be my wingman anytime.
Where have we gone?
Pick
I'm
Top
flattered,
Gun.
but no thanks. I fly solo, thank you very much.
Why didn't we pick Top Gun?
No, we didn't want to hurt ourselves that much. Jeez.
Fine, play Top Gun on GameCube. I don't give a fuck.
Maybe we should just stick to video games. This is the Red Leaf Retrocast, found on all your favorite podcasting outlets. And now, back to the show. And welcome back. Joined here with Jay from the Smack and Down podcast. You're here for all the indie stuff.
Yes, I am. Dude, so much indie stuff.
There's a lot of wrestling the past 2 weeks.
It's been crazy.
Absolutely nuts. I mean, I'm doing a lot of the solo stuff this one as well, and I'm glad to have you here, as usual.
All good, man. All good. Happy to help.
So on this section with Jay, we're talking Rev Pro High Stakes, OTT Homecoming, WXW Dead End 18, and their little Road to 16 Karat Gold tournament show that took place in Bielefeld. We got New Japan. We finally get to talk about Osaka, and then they just had their Honor Rising Japan show, so kind of a cross show with Ring of Honor. We finally get we have an excuse to talk about Ring of Honor finally.
I mean, they were fun shows.
Definitely get there. But let's start out with Revolution Pro Wrestling High Stakes.
Alrighty, let's do it.
Yeah, alrighty. So, overall, Jay, I thought this was an okay card. I know you were just like a lot of people and just showed up for the main event, correct?
Yeah, I'm not big on RPW. I've got a lot of problems with their production.
I do as well, and this show, the audio quality and presentation was just as bad as ever.
Yeah, see, a lot of people seem to like RPW because of the working relationship they got with New Japan, but that doesn't make a good wrestling show for me.
No, I agree. It's quite frustrating. When I was trying to watch High Stakes, I tried twice, and no matter what time or what day it is, this is like the 5th show in a row where the connection is just awful, mixed in with their terrible audio quality. You know, the commentators are always topping out the mic, even though you can barely hear them. All you hear is the static a lot of the times. It's a frustrating promotion, despite the good wrestling matches that we do get.
Yeah, like, even though, like, yeah, their audio issues aren't great. I don't like the camera work. Progress. I know it's like comparing chalk and cheese here, but like, they don't seem like as big of company as RPW, and yet they've got everything down better.
I would absolutely agree with that statement. Yeah,
Indeed.
Progress definitely prides itself on its camera work. They don't do instant replays, for example, as a ploy to get you to pay attention more to the match, which I agree with, actually.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
So,
It's like New Japan. They don't do their friggin' replays unless something big happens, but even them, like, they're few and far between.
few and far. And it's usually a hard cam replay anyways over in Japan. So I'll just go through quickly a few of the highlights of the show, and then we can get to the main event. This is really fast. Zoe Lucas is still the women's champ for some reason. She defeated Bea Priestley. I think this was supposed to be a match against the tournament winner from the previous couple cockpit shows. They had a little women's tournament, but I think she came down with an injury last second, so Bea Priestley kind of played the role of last minute.
So did they follow, I was going to say, they should have followed the wrestling tradition where the last minute replacement wins the title.
Right? Nah, Zoe Lucas is super green. She's real rough around the edges. It's just not working out. We'll see what happens. I'm giving a little pass here for the moment because, let's face it, the UK women's scene is decimated with their entire roster signed exclusively, basically, to WWE.
Yeah. I know you guys don't talk about it here, but have you seen the new Defiant Women's Wrestling Champion? Like from a month ago? Maybe a couple weeks back?
I'm aware of her.
She's green as well.
Yeah, it's definitely
She's
a running
very
theme
green.
going on in Europe in general right now, and even you could say that a lot about Shine and Shimmer as well.
But to tie this into what you just said, she defended her title this week against Bea Priestley.
So Bea Priestley's just taking on the role of your green person is going to face her.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So Zoe Lucas wins via a botched roll-up foot to the ropes thing. It was a mess. Next match to highlight here is El Phantasmo defeats a crisp Maxwell Jacob Friedman. He's been on a roll, guys.
MJF was there, was he?
Yeah, MJF. Yeah, he cut
Did he
cut a good
Okay.
promo.
Did he swear like he does at Royals?
Absolutely. He does all the time, makes fun of the whole country, gets heat on the crowd, tries to cheat in the match, the classic heel maneuvering. Nonetheless, El Phantasmo wins. The match was fine. Harmless.
I like El Phantasmo.
Yeah. ELP is continuing his run to try and get another shot at David Starr in his Cruiserweight title. So,
Fair enough.
there you go. One of my guilty pleasure matches of all of the indie wrestling that happened over the past couple weeks was this MK McKinnon versus Kip Sabian match.
Okay.
It was the match just before the main event, memory serves, and Kip Sabian was just signed to AEW.
He was. So was there's a bunch of people signed to it. Sammy Guevara.
Sammy Guevara was signed. Yeah, he's from the town I basically grew up in Katy, Texas. So probably my brother probably played tennis against him or something. If he played tennis, I'm not sure.
Fair enough. Maybe he's a bowler.
Yeah, no. Well, anyways, this McKinnon is part of Fight Club Pro quite a lot. So when I start watching Fight Club Pro finally, like I promised I would, I'm sure to see more of this guy. But this match was a good technical kind of kick for kick kind of type of match, mixing that martial arts background with technical wrestling. It was good. It was good. If that's your kind of wrestling, I'd recommend it. But I wouldn't go out of my way to watch personally. The recommended matches, however, is the 28-minute tag team match, CCK versus Aussie Open.
Yeah, that's happening like everywhere.
Oh yeah, I've seen them go at it like a million times now.
But they haven't put on a bad match.
No, I think they're incapable. It's like LAX and the Lucha Bros in Impact, and they even had another match in AEW. They're just incapable of putting on a bad match against each other. This one was almost half an hour. It was to determine the number one contender for the tag titles. It just didn't disappoint. CCK slips one out at the end via a Gresham Stapler heel maneuver. So there you go. CCK is number one contenders.
Did you see what happened at that AAW show?
What, with the Young Bucks showing up?
Yeah. Okay, so you obviously know what happens then, sort of, I guess.
I'm aware.
Yeah, title change. Moving on.
Yeah. And then the main event. Pac and Will Ospreay in a special singles match. Never Openweight champion versus the Open the Dreamgate champion.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jay?
I thought it was good. Not as good as it could have been, but I thought it was good.
Ooh. So I have heard that from quite a few, be it outlets or fans. They say it wasn't as good. What happened, for those that didn't watch, it went to a 30-minute draw with some hit or miss questionable booking based on the type of fan I would say you are at the end there.
Yeah. Like, I get why there was a 30-minute draw, because you can't really have a New Japan champion going over a Dragon Gate champion or a Dragon Gate champion going over a New Japan champion. So that's not my, like, that's kind of the issue. It's like the same thing with OTT, which we'll get to in a bit. Like, you can't really have Pac lose or Ospreay lose or Walter lose or any of those sorts of things happen.
I mean, you can. It's wrestling. You can book it however way you want. But in terms of, I guess, talent sharing and what have you, you want your champions to look strong.
Yeah. That's my only issue with the match. Like, the run-in from CCK, I don't know the story there. I haven't really been paying attention. But
So Chris Brooks has an ongoing feud in Rev Pro with Will Ospreay.
Okay.
So that's the explanation behind that. But it did come off as kind of random.
Yeah, it did.
Even
Just
though I knew that was why it was happening. I was just like, there was some really good sequence and highlighting moments between the two guys. It definitely highlighted both wrestlers very well. They both came across as wanting to one-up each other. Until
they did. It was like very reminiscent in parts of the Ricochet Ospreay match from Boss J a few years ago.
Yes. That is a good example to give it. Definitely. Pac is obviously much more stronger and not as flippy as Ricochet, but yeah, I do see the comparison for sure. Did you agree with? Did you agree with the ending at all? With how it went about the draw and then Pac going to the top and then just letting the clock run out?
Well, he didn't have enough time to pick up the win. Like, by the time Black Arrow was hit, like, time would have expired anyway.
I agree.
So
I think
why
it made
bother?
sense. Yeah, I agree. What about the
Pac's
low blow?
like, Pac is a bastard, so like it makes sense.
What about the low blow part?
Once again, he's a bastard, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I did watch some of his matches in Dragon Gate, and he does that move a lot, so it does fit character. If he's take his Dragon Gate defense against KZ, when KZ went on, and I believe this is a direct reference to that match and what happened in this Will Ospreay one, because Will Ospreay was getting the better of Pac at the end. Like, he was on a roll, hitting all of his signature moves, bang, 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 and he was about to hit Stormbreaker and finally put it away, which they teased throughout the match, and that's when Pac low blowed him to get out of it. And he did this. He went for the same thing against KZ in Dragon Gate, where KZ was hitting all of his signature moves in succession. Pac went for a low blow. KZ in this instance blocked it, right? Well, in this case, Will Ospreay didn't block it.
Right.
I did like the ref just saying, like, looking at the crowd going, should I DQ him?
It's like, no, let this match continue. Actually, I have a question for you, because I've noticed this a little bit of backlash regarding this. What do you think about Ospreay hitting other people's finishes, like the Rainmaker, the Styles Clash? There was another one there too, but I can't remember what it was off the top of my head.
Well, he's been doing the Phenomenal Forearm quite a bit lately.
Yeah, but like, do you think it discounts other people's finishes if he's doing it and not putting people away?
No, because it's not his move. So he's not as good with it. That's why I don't agree with this whole mindset a lot of companies have, or at least the old mindset where two guys in the same promotion can't have the same move. I think they totally can. Just one guy's puts them away while the other one doesn't. You know, not their move.
You know, sure, I don't have a problem with it. Like, but I saw other podcasts having a little bit of issues with the Ospreay using other people's finishes.
Well, shit, a short arm clothesline is nothing new.
I mean, have you seen Jimmy Havoc? Have you seen Ginny? I'm sure there's other people out there that use it as well. They just said two off the top of my head.
Yeah, well, they're the acid rainmaker, the left-handed, the left-armed.
I just thought it was called the Acid Rainmaker because, you know, Jimmy Havoc.
Well, yeah, kinda. It is. But they're also left-armed, so it's the opposite of the rainmaker.
Should it be the Southpaw Rainmaker then?
Well, Southpaw's a baseball reference.
It's also a boxing reference, if I'm not mistaken, but moving on.
Yeah, it's also a Boston reference. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I really liked this match. It was I liked a lot of the sequences in it. What do you think would have made it better?
An ending?
Well, you can't have that. Selfish.
No, like I've got no problems with the match other than the ending. And the run-in. Like, the run-in didn't need to happen.
I don't think the run-in needed to happen either. If they were going to have this, have the draw ending as they did, because as soon as they like threw him out and took care of him, and they both locked our eyes and slowly got in the ring and stared each other down, I was like, both guys want to win, and that wasn't the case. I don't know. Yeah, I agree. The run-in shouldn't have happened.
For sure.
Alrighty, well, that was Rev Pro. You know, if Rev Pro has another high-profile match or something catches our eye, maybe we'll come back to Rev Pro. I think we're going to take a break from RPW for a while. And in the meantime, we got OT fucking T, Over the Top Wrestling, over in Ireland. They had their homecoming pay-per-view, and Jay, this is your first experience with OTT, correct?
It is. But before we get into this, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Should we work through this backwards?
Ooh, see, that was one of my key notes, because it sure felt like the card was built in reverse.
Yeah, I completely agree. Up until... what?
I just have random matches listed in what we should talk about more as we go down.
Okay, I would like to say though, like, not necessarily match of the year, but one of the best matches I've seen in a while was on this card.
I agree. I think it's top 3 in the year right now, personally.
For sure. Like, on my show, it was match of the week for us, even though I was the only one that watched it. And I'm like, no, it's match of the week, you guys. You just don't understand.
No, yeah, and the fact that not a lot of people watch OTT in general. You know, I was kind of outspoken of it last year, saying, you know, they're still kind of building. It's a very new promotion. It's only about 5 years old now, 4.5,
Mm-hmm.
and much like how Progress was at the start in their first few years, where it was pretty sporadic. You know, it was a lot of their, you know, talent just putting on seemingly random matches. Every once in a while, a good rivalry would come up just based on their just excellent matches together. Ospreay Havoc in Progress comes to mind. By the way, Jay, that Making Enemies kind of mini documentary on Progress that you can go watch, that was quite good. I enjoyed that.
Oh, you watched it, did you?
I did.
Yeah, the Ospreay and Havoc documentary is definitely worth watching, anybody who hasn't seen it.
Yeah. Ospreay headbutted a goat.
He did. I told you about that. Now Havoc needs to headbutt a goat and knock out a goat.
I can't do the flippy shit, but I can at least headbutt something.
Yeah.
That was really funny.
It was like a really good hour. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I realized I have forgotten a lot about the early Progress, because I have seen a couple of those matches they referenced. I just didn't see the Pentennial kind of I think it was like chapter 13 or something, their middle match that was at the end of their rivalry at the start. I never saw that one, so I think that's why I forget a lot about it.
Yeah, I want to go back and watch all that old stuff. I haven't ventured back that far yet, but I've got a rough idea, like everything that happens in there, because of how much Progress seemed to call back to their old stuff. Oh yeah,
for sure. They like keeping rivalries. They make them matter over there. That's for sure, or at least they try to book it that way. Alrighty, back to OTT. So just to be clear, Jay, I'm sure you're wondering a few questions. So what do you have, question-wise, about OTT?
Where the Zero Gravity champion was?
Okay.
Why was he not on the show?
Just nothing being built for it right now. That's a good question.
But in all seriousness, like everything that I saw on here, it made a lot of sense. Like I don't really have many questions besides like if you're having a big show, shouldn't all the champions be on the card?
You would think that. There was just things that took precedence over it. Mainly the highlighted tag team title match that was also a handicap match, which was in a cage. That was the main event. I got nothing against tag teams main eventing things, but this main event flopped hard.
Yeah, like this is one of the reasons I thought the show was booked backwards. Like this would have made a good middle match.
I think it should have started the show off. Personally. Oh yeah, I think it would have come across much better. Session Marth Matina, she was the woman in the match. She was with the it was tag titles being defended, Kings of the North, huge heel tag team faction. Even when I come into OTT as sporadic as I do, it's always Kings of the North just kicking the shit out of everybody. So I do.
Did you know that they have a member called Duncan Disorderly, which I think is brilliant?
That's pretty funny.
I agree.
Well, they were defending against the lads from the flats. They come across as just like your typical Irish dude that wants to fight, and then plus Session Marth Matina gets involved. She's over as fuck in Ireland. Like, holy shit. And the way they booked her to end the match and taking a bunch of the tack spots, yeah, I think this should have actually opened, especially with how it ended, with the Kings of the North going over in the end the way they did. You know?
Radio.
Yeah,
no, I get that. I guess this wasn't main event worthy. I'm not saying like as you said, tag matches can't be the main event, but this just wasn't a main event match.
It didn't come across as that. I understand the build behind it, but hey. So OTT has they're like establishing their major shows because they don't do monthly ones, not really. They do a lot of house show type things. So I think they're starting to find a mold in what they want to have as their major shows a month. So Homecoming will be February. Scrappermania is being moved from May to St. Paddy's Day weekend in March, which makes so much more sense to me.
Let's be Irish and drink.
Yeah, right? That's just a few examples. But anyways, moving on. Mark Haskins defends the gender neutral title successfully.
Is that a title for both genders?
Yes. The idea is it's like the intergender middleweight championship.
Yeah, no, I thought that was the case because the wording for it there doesn't really help it much.
Gender neutral kind of defines it in its title. Yeah, it's kind of a lame name for it, but it makes sense.
Also, if you're having a triple threat on this show and it's a gender neutral title, why are there 3 blokes and no chick?
Great question, Jay. I'm glad you asked. I don't have an answer for that. It came across as extremely odd to me, especially because of the amazing Irish women's division that's there with Sami Zayn, Valkyrie, the list goes on. I think if you're gonna have an intergender title, you need to, and it's gonna be a multi-person match. I think it has to be actually intergender, you know?
I agree. It seems like a missed opportunity. But you and I were talking about this. Haskins in that briefcase, man. Scrap Mania's coming up. Walter versus Devlin. Things are looking like there might be a cash-in.
I think so as well. I think that's it coincides also with Walter, possibly becoming champion, NXT UK champion. Can't have WWE obviously can't have their precious talent signed and champions lose anywhere, So we're both getting the same feeling there.
I wonder if he dropped the Progress title over the weekend to Ridgeway. I don't think that Ridgeway is supposed to take it off him, but I guess we'll find out in a couple of weeks.
Let's not spoil ourselves on that.
Indeed.
Yeah. So, Haskins defends it successfully against Everett and Terry Thatcher. I mean, the match existed. It was fine. I liked the ending where Haskins does the heel thing where the other guy hits his finisher and he just tosses the dude out of the ring and gets the pin.
I love Haskins. He's so underrated.
He is very underrated. He's even underrated in fucking Ring of Honor right now.
He's a lackey to freaking Juice and David Finlay.
Gross.
I know. It's part of Lifeblood, whatever that stupid faction's called.
Raven Creed defends the women's title, defeating YUU.
She defeated me. That's crazy.
Yeah, she's popped up in a lot of the indie scene over in Europe lately. She's basically been touring with Shigehiro Irie. But for those that don't know, right, Raven Creed, the best way I can describe her is over as fuck Irish Rosemary. That makes sense,
I
Jay?
can say that.
The match was a total dud. It was a skip.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, you can tell it was just kind of thrown on the card.
It's here for a women's match. Let's move on.
Yeah. I kind of wish it didn't happen, personally, and maybe have a woman in the gender-neutral title match instead. Get more highlights. So anyways, moving on. Ospreay teams with Scotty Davis as they defeat the besties in the world.
The besties who are best for business.
I don't like that tag team very much. They're not very good.
Yeah, there's something. There's a tag team wrestling World Cup coming up on Scrapmania with Aussie Open, those guys, and a few other teams.
I mean, people seem to get behind besties in the world. They have a funky little fun gimmick about them, but wrestling-wise, they miss a lot of moves. They botch a lot of stuff.
I'll tell you who I'm getting behind. Scotty Davis.
Oh, dude. That 18-year-old motherfucker. Oh, that mustache, Jay. Are you kidding me?
Dude, he puts Mustache Mountain to shame.
So I saw him a couple shows last year when I just tuned into OTT, and I didn't think much of it. He was still very green, but in the time between last year and this match, holy shit, this kid's just developed.
Yeah, he has. He was on fire in this match, and the match with Liger coming up, I'm definitely going to watch it.
Oh, dude, Ospreay got this kid over so big. He's facing Liger at Scrappermania. For those that don't know, Scotty Davis is 18 years old. He has this kind of old-timer facial hair look to him. You know, he's got the funky little goatee and an old British detective mustache going on, and he suplexes the shit out of people.
And flies high.
And he's a high flyer on top of that. It's kind of a combination you don't get a lot of. It really reminds me of a more nimble Kurt Angle.
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah,
because he has all that
that
ground suplex game, just like a Kurt Angle. He just flies more than him, right? So I can see him. I can see Scotty Davis in just rising to the top super fast. Will he get over Liger at Scrappermania? I don't think so.
Yeah, I reckon.
I think he's just in the match to learn some things, right?
Maybe it depends on how much OTT want to push him.
Oh, I mean, Liger does let a lot of guys go over him. That's for sure.
Liger song.
Alrighty. MJF torches the Irish. Ospreay and Scotty Davis win, by the way. But MJF comes out, torches the Irish crowd before his match.
Dude, I loved this MJF promo. MJF's a dick.
Oh my god. What did he say, Jay?
Something about I don't remember the exact quote, but it's like he comes out, he's like the tag partner for the other guy. I've forgotten his name. He's
got an old fisherman gimmick. His name's Justy or Justy.
He uses jutsu, man. He's a ninja.
Sure.
And he comes out and he's like, I wish that the potato famine finished the job, or something along those lines.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what he said. He goes, it's good to be in the UK, and Justy kind of whispers in his ear, like, it's not part of the UK. And he's like, well, okay, I wouldn't want this shithole to be part of my country either. It's a nice little jab.
Yeah.
But yeah, he teams with this crusty old fisherman-looking guy to face the Angel Cruisers, whom I tried describing this team to you. They are this like Johnny Quest, James Bond fighting villain duo.
Yeah, that's probably the best way of looking at them.
Yeah. They even have their little followers come out in kind of space sci-fi jumpsuits, matching jumpsuits. Well, needless to say, the match was kind of comical, and it ends with the Angel Cruisers' little followers turning heel and joining fucking Juicy.
Who uses jutsu, man? He's a ninja.
Yeah, at one point he tied MJF's...
I can't believe that it worked.
Burb.
Neither could MJF. Yeah. It was crazy.
He gets MJF's scarf at one point, ties it around his head like a kung fu headband or whatever they're called, and he's like Juicy Jutsu, and that leads to a quadruple low blow. Where everybody gets
with MJF as well.
Yeah, with the ref even getting in on the action.
Yeah.
It was very odd. Alrighty. So that happened. Pac defeats Walter via DQ in a match where Pac dislocates his finger fucking twice, and heel Walter plays his role quite well.
He does. He does. He does, man. And poor Pac's hand.
Oh, it was gross. Oh,
dude.
You could tell he was just wincing in pain the entire time, but he just powers through it. Did you notice when he originally dislocated the first time off of the
second row Phoenix Splash?
Yeah, the second row Phoenix Splash, and he shows the ref his finger, and the ref is like, "Oh shit, what do I do?" And Pac just, like, even the crowd goes, "Oh no!" And
he's like, "Nah, don't worry about it, mate. I'll just put it back in."
And he just puts it back in and continue. The crowd just goes to its feet because they thought the match was going to be called off immediately. You know?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Match continued like it was regular business. Wasn't as good as I was hoping, to be honest. I was kind of let down by it. Chicken shit heel Walter doesn't play with me the right way, you know?
Yeah, I getcha.
He's just too big of a dude, too menacing, the chops. I don't know, it just doesn't... To me, it doesn't fit him. So. Yeah. But let's talk about the match that actually started the fucking pay-per-view. Jordan Devlin taking on former best friend... the product, David Starr. This should have been the main event.
Dude, this match was insane.
It was the match that had the most build, the most story behind it, and it fucking starts the show.
This match was insane. Also, it was for number one contendership to freaking to Walter. So, like, wouldn't it have made sense for this to, like you said, either be the main event or the semi?
Yeah. Like, I would have been totally fine with this being the semi-main event. You finish with Pac Walter, you know, have your champion in the main event, and you can still do the run-in of Jordan Devlin stopping Walter from running out kind of deal.
Indeed.
Could have still done that. Or had it.
Indeed.
Or had Pac Walter in the semi-main event, and Jordan Devlin does it anyways. You know, it would even play more into the story. So how did we come to this match? Well, just real fast. There was a fantastic video package showing us the build and how the friendship between Jordan Devlin and David Starr started. They do little short interviews between the two. They talk about their friendship and then how it slowly implodes. How they were...
Yeah, it's all about neither of them being able to beat Walter.
Yeah, that's what it became, right? And so... Jordan Devlin was in a tag match with David Starr last year as a prelude to his match with Walter. Devlin didn't take it too seriously. He was a cocky champion. So that played into that story. Devlin then didn't choose David Starr to be his tag partner in the next tag match when Walter's now champion. And Ospreay pulls out due to injury, right? Because Ospreay was originally the next opponent for Walter, if I am correct on this, if I have my timeline right. Well,
this was during that time period last year when he was like hurt.
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
David Starr was called in as the backup, and Starr just goes, "Yep, sure. I guess I'll come in." And during this tag match, Devlin hits his package pile driver on Walter, and just before he's about to pin Walter, David Starr kind of freaks out, pulls the ref out of the ring, and they just have the breakdown. It just goes from there. So more video package, just amazing stuff. David Starr does a promo saying, I can't have you beat the thing that I've been trying to do for the past 3 years. Like, no matter where Starr and Walter fight, Starr always loses. Whether it's fatal 4-ways, tag matches, one-on-ones, Starr never wins when Walter's involved.
Yeah.
So,
is he gonna, like, this ties into WXW coming up, but what's gonna happen at round 1 of 16 Carot?
see? We'll talk about that when we get to WXW right quick after this. So, Devlin comes out, big pop, as he does. He's over as fuck. And then, and then David Starr's music hits, and it's Pat Benatar's "We Belong."
Which is their tag team music, man.
It used to be their tag team music, yeah. And not only that, David Starr has a t-shirt with their faces on it, best friends.
And not only that, but his trunks were the Irish flag and they had the Gaelic word for loyalty or friendship or something on them.
Yeah, it's Dilshocked. Yeah, just touch after touch, heel work. Starr wanting to get in his head, wants to beat Devlin so he can face Walter at all costs. Devlin, rightfully so, immediately gets out of the ring and meets him on the ramp, and they just have a fucking fight.
They do. We didn't even get to hear that David Starr is the cream in your coffee, your favorite wrestlers, the Bernie Sanders, professional wrestling, and all the others.
None of that. No, it was just a straight fight. I just love the intensity in this match, the straight fire the entire time, the move exchanges. There was a sequence that you were a big fan of, Jay.
Oh, dude, I that sequence, man, I love it. A freaking backflip out of the corner into a bloody face buster on the knee to a super kick to a bloody powerbomb backbreaker thing.
I saw an almost similar sequence of David Starr doing that to Chris Statlander just last night at Beyond Wrestling. It was very similar.
Oh, well, then it's no longer as cool.
Well, it wasn't as, there wasn't a lot of the fire behind it all, and he only did 2 out of those 6 moves in sequence. But he did do the backbreaker knee, or the powerbomb backbreaker knee, and it looks even
that
worse.
Can't be good for you. That can't be good for your knee.
It can't be good for anybody.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it can't be good for your kneecap.
It looks painful. You could hear the thud, or I could hear the thud. I'm not gonna brag, but I was that close.
I mentioned this to you the other day, and I do want to talk about this, not necessarily now, but
okay.
On my podcast, your podcast in the future. But is David Starr the new Neely man of independent wrestling?
Last year, that was definitely the case. He had a lot of title matches last year that he didn't win. So the same could be said right now, because we just saw him lose to Andy in London, and now we just saw him lose a number 1 contendership match in OTT.
He lost the Defiant title match to Rampage.
Oh yeah, he lost that one too. So it's tough. He's always at the top, but he never gets over that hump. But that plays into that whole story of David Starr is so obsessed with beating Walter that's the hump. Until he can beat Walter, he can't be champion. It kind of goes hand in hand.
But yeah, with all of that being said, he's also the only person who's held the Shotgun title 3 times. Also true.
But that's the mid.
So it's not like he's not a good wrestler or anything. He just so he's the only person who's held the Shotgun title for 3 times, and so it's not like he is a bad wrestler. They book him strong enough. It's just this obsession with Walter starting to pay on him.
It shows. I like the story.
So do I. It's really good.
I love this cross promotion all over Europe. story going on. It's quite nice. So yeah, match of the year candidate. Go out of your way to seek out OTT Jordan Devlin versus David Starr. Devlin wins.
Yeah, for sure. he does, but the match it's really good. Like, people should watch it.
Alrighty, so I gotta drop here, Jay. I'm gonna play real quick, and we can talk about WXW.
Are you using Walter's theme?
Absolutely, I am. Alrighty, WXW Dead End Octane 18. We return to the Markthalle im Hamburg for Dead End yet again on the road to 16 karat gold. The card was just okay.
There were decent matches on there.
Yet, okay, I think you might agree with this statement. Each match delivered and then some.
While my feed was working, I enjoyed things.
Yeah, they were going through some site updates, apparently.
Yes. So, like, I didn't have any problems watching it really started at the Volta Muller match, I think.
Oh, the best one!
I still like that match from what I saw, but it was good.
Let's take it from the top here. We got Avalanche teaming with David Starr versus Timothy Thatcher and Jurn Simmons. Whoever gets the winning pin gets to choose their first round opponent in the 16 karat gold tournament next month. So kind of makes...
do you think Thatcher would have chosen if they had gone over?
Walter as well.
Interesting. Okay.
I based that off his promo from their next show.
Road to 16 karat.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I quite like the stipulation behind this. You know, we have odd pairings of tag teams, heel and a face kind of teaming together, opposite sides, friction between everyone, tag partners like throwing their own tag partners off of the pin, but not beating them up.
Yeah, this also ties into a little bit of a feud that's been going on between Jurn and Avalanche.
Absolutely, there was good kayfabe storytelling there going on. I loved
David
it.
Starr's got a problem with Jurn. Thatcher, I think, has got a problem with David Starr.
Oh yeah, they all have issues with each other in some form or fashion. Thatcher and Avalanche, you can kind of bring that back to the old Ring Comp versus Monster Consulting tag team feud, you know. But it's not as strong as the others. So anyways, Starr sneaks and gets the winning pin, so he gets to choose his first round opponent at 16 karat gold. There you go.
Wouldn't you know it? He picks the easiest person in the company with Shigehiro Iizuka.
Oh, of course, right? Who will he choose? Maybe we'll find out next month. I don't know.
But we'll find out next
tuned.
match. Probably not, but we'll find out sooner or later. We're only 2 weeks out from 16 karat.
Right. Yeah, we are. Oh my god. I'm salivating in anticipation. Triple threat women's match. Killer Kelly defeats Toni Storm and Ring of Honor's Faye Jackson, pinning Jackson. Kelly holds up the title. Crowd chants 16 karat. Then Toni Storm slaps the shit out of her and shoos her out of the ring.
Yeah, well, Tony's a bad guy now. She's a pretty good bad guy.
I'm loving heel Toni Storm. It's
Toni Storm.
It's been a simple yet effective heel turn where she kicks out Melanie Gray, gets in her face, rubs it in her face. Kelly was being sympathetic towards the person leaving, and Toni Storm's like, "What the fuck's wrong with you? You're not allowed to be that nice to her."
Well, why? What's going on? You don't like Melanie Gray?
Yeah, exactly. Like both sides, made sense, and Toni Storm and Killer Kelly's now getting friction. So there you go.
So when Melanie Gray comes back in a few months, she's going to be over as hell. You know that.
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, it's possible.
You don't think she's coming back?
I think it's going to be a while. I think she's.
Where else does she wrestle?
Well, she trains. Well, she wrestles in a lot of the mini indies in Germany, like Wrestle Cult, to train a lot of the women. She's a big time women's trainer. Women's
radio.
So I think that's what she'll be focusing on. That's my theory, anyways. Rise, the team of Ivan Kiev and Pete Bouncer, defeat JFK clean to retain their tag titles. So
they do. This feud's over. We can move on.
Yeah, we can move on. It was a effective match. I just don't like how JFK was kind of in this and then lost. I don't know.
It did what it needed to do. It was fine.
It's fine. Walter defeats Feitmuller in a 24-minute show-stealing match.
Dude, this was a how to do a big guy match properly.
It's a good way to describe it. I like that.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe this. I expected nothing of this match going in. I thought it'd be like a 5-7 minute squashy type match.
Yeah, no. This match made Muller a star.
He was in his hometown of Hamburg. You know, Hummel. He was super over. Walter was playing kind of a dick in it. He wasn't like full heel, but he was definitely a dick. Because the whole story here is Walter doesn't respect Muller. Muller wants his respect real bad. He wants in-ring conf. Walter's like, I don't fucking care about you. You're nobody. You fucking lost our match at Back to the Roots. You're a loser kind of deal. You make me look foolish.
You're a bad wrestler. Leave me alone.
Bad wrestler. Leave me alone. You suck. Yeah, it's kind of like that. And Walter was there to teach him a lesson, and Muller wasn't having it. He was in it for the fight.
He was. Just like as I said, this match may have made Muller a star.
It made him a big deal, and I quite like that. This is how you build stars, man. This is how you do it.
Oh man, if there are other companies out there that like knew how to do that and doesn't have to raid their developmental for people, seeing as though no one's over.
Oh, you mean Ring of Honor? Oh, okay.
No. I meant WWE, but yeah, that's fine too. Let's move on.
Probably some indie company.
Yeah, probably.
So, after the loss, Walter reluctantly kind of, like, he tries to leave the ring and the crowd kind of booed him. They're like, no, fucking shake his hand, you asshole. So he gets back in the ring, he extends his hand ring comp style, and just as Muller, like, he was kind of soaking it in, he's like, oh my god, I got it, right? David Starr's music hits, stealing the spotlight from Muller, and he announces who, Jay? What does he do?
He announces that he's like obviously not fighting Walter in the first round because he wants to fight Walter in the finals. That's obviously not what happened. Walter versus David Starman first round, first match of the first round for 16 Carot.
Jesus Christ. Are you crazy, David Starr?
I mean, sink or swim, eh? Throw him in the deep end and see what happens.
Man. But this to me it works quite well, because if David Starr loses, he just loses again to Walter, right? Continues the story.
He does. Indeed.
If he wins, then holy shit, does David Starr go on to win the whole thing kind of deal? Or does he choke?
I'm having trouble working out who's winning 16 Carot.
Oh, it's tough. They announced a lot of the first round matchups. You have Ray Horace against Phoenix. You have Pentagon against Mark Davis. Walter David Starr. Axel Dieter Jr. is against... I can't remember. But there's a lot of good first round. A rematch from last year of Timothy Thatcher versus Lucky Kid, where Lucky Kid got the shock win. It's anyone's guess who could win this year, honestly.
Dude, I'm looking at that Mark Davis Pentagon match, and I'm like, one of these things is not like the other.
Someone's getting slapped.
That's also happening, but like you look at that match, and it's like that one I think is easier to call.
You think Pentagon's going over? I think so as well.
Yeah, okay, so let's just that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Who do you guys think is going to win 16 Carot this year? Leave your responses to us on Twitter.
That's right. And if you're on Podbean, just make a nice little comment.
You did.
So cool. So yeah, David Starr steals the spotlight. There you go. Lucky Kid defeats Damak in a much more grounded match than high flying. They had an extremely tough job following that Walter Muller match.
Indeed, and this is where I was getting a lot more issues, and I only saw about 5 minutes of this match.
It's okay. Lucky Kid wins. He gets his revenge on Damak. So, Babyface is going over quite a lot here.
Indeed.
Main event,
I did not get this match loaded for about an hour, and I contacted WXW as much, be like, can you please help me?
Bummer.
It did, and then it worked, and it was fine.
there you go. We got Bobby Guns teaming with Dragunov versus the temporarily reunited A4 team of Absolute Andy and Marius Alani.
The babyface tag team from a couple of years ago. Look at them both now.
Yeah. Both champions and heels. Go figure. Winning team in this stipulation gets to face Absolute Andy at 16 karat gold for the title. So
unless you're Ilya Dragunov, because you're not involved in that situation.
Correct. But the story obviously is Dragunov just wants to see someone finally beat Andy.
Indeed.
So it does make sense.
Indeed.
And
Indeed.
Andy's accepting Alani as his partner because he beat the shit out of him all last year.
Well, I mean, Andy's also beaten Bobby Guns, so I mean, it's not a huge problem.
So I'm glad you brought that up. So Bobby Guns does sneak a win at the end. Before we talk about the match itself,
dude, he got pile driven into a jackknife cover. What the hell? A little bit crazy. Just throwing that out there.
A little bit crazy. But this is interesting because at Dead End last year, Bobby Guns defended the shotgun title successfully against Absolute Andy.
At Dead End last year.
Yeah.
And then Andy went on to win 16 karat.
He did.
Interesting.
So there's some
bit of
interesting continuity bookings there, and
but
so
then Alani managed to beat Bobby Guns
later. Correct, yeah.
And then Bobby Guns won shortcut to the top, and yeah, okay, I'm with you.
Yeah. So the ongoing story continues that Bobby Guns just can't lose in Hamburg. His streak continues. It's like 2-3 years he's never lost in Hamburg before, which is quite funny because he's from Bremen, a rival town of Hamburg.
But he's also Bobby Guns, who's
also
the King Smoke style and can do what Bobby Guns wants to do.
It's just really funny how he gets cheered in Hamburg now when he always got booed. He'd even come out with the football team Bremen's scarf around his neck all the time.
Yeah, now he's a face, not a heel.
Yeah, well. So, he's a tweener character for sure.
He's more of a face at the moment.
Yeah. My favorite moment in this match, Jay, was definitely Al-Ani was on the verge of tapping out.
Oh, yes.
And
yes.
And you even have Dragunov throwing elbows into his chest in the Bobby Guns submission. And he looks dead. He looks like dead weight, right? So Tatsuo Young, the referee, kind of signals something, and then the bell rings, and everybody, including myself, thought this match was over. Like, I like timing matches. I stopped the clock. I was like, all right, cool, match over. That was a cool little finish. No, what happened, Jay? What really happened?
Dude, he's a genius. The Eagle, the one and only Absolute Andy, rung the ring bell.
He fooled everybody, including the referee. He's like, well, I didn't signal anything.
It was well done. I fell for it.
It was very good timing. Everyone's timing was down. It was great. So there you go. Bobby Guns versus Absolute Andy for the title. Day 2, 16 karat gold. All right,
cool.
All right, so fun show. Road to 16 karat gold in Bielefeld was the following show. Just really quick, nothing to...
I have a question for you regarding this opening promo.
Okay.
How good are German's translations into English?
Why do you ask?
Because Absolute Andy said this in the subtitles. Absolute Andy's the best wrestler in the world, and he is the WXW Unified Wrestling Champion.
Yeah, correct.
So he was talking about himself in third person.
Yes. Because he wanted everybody to chant. He wanted everybody to make that the chant.
Go ahead. That just makes Absolute Andy even cooler, though. He can't do anything wrong, man. Like, he's so good.
I did like that opening. It was like an opening to a TV show, you know, where a bunch of guys come out, they do their shtick, right? And then they're in like a 6-man tag match or something at the end of the show in the main event.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You just don't get that in promotions like this, especially in Europe.
You got the debut of what was it, Vinny Vortex?
Vortex. Yeah.
Yes, it was Vinny Vortex, Bobby Gunn's brother.
He's a big dude, man. He's not a small guy. He's real tall. He's built. He's a bit green, you could tell. So
I mean, but he's a vortex.
He is a vortex.
It's ridiculous.
So let's focus on kind of the continuing things that's happening here going into 16 Karat Gold. This is the last show from WXW before their big 3-day pay-per-view event. So we get a video package of David Starr's obsession with Walter, and we get highlights
was good
to how much he needs to beat Walter in order to become better. That ties in also to OTT. They even reference OTT in Defiant. You know,
they did.
And then later we get a promo from Walter being interviewed and what he thinks about what David Starr's saying. He just doesn't give a shit about David Starr. He's like, how many times do I have to beat his ass?
Yeah, then you have Thatcher who said he doesn't care if he's got to go through Walter Jr. He's gone through him. 16 characters. Ring comps to the side for now.
Yeah, well, it was interesting. It was a very ominous promo Tim Thatcher had here.
Is Tim turning on ring comp?
I don't know. It's very ominous, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he just goes ring comp at the end of 2018, 2019. They've been deciding things on their own. You know, he referenced them all leaving for WWE in brackets. When he wants to do something for ring comp and to better, you know, the group and the ideals, such as bringing Fight Mueller in, all of a sudden there's friction between them. Yeah, and he's just like, I don't care what I have to do if I have to set ring comp to the side. So, you know, we could be looking at round 2, Thatcher versus Walter, you know, and Thatcher goes over again or something. Or Thatcher interferes in the David Starr Walter match. Anything.
Guess we'll find out.
It's very ominous. I quite enjoy this. I don't know what Tim Thatcher's gimmick would be without ring comp though. That's what worries me.
Anti-ring comp? Who's like ring comp but not ring comp?
Maybe he just starts his own, kind of like the Rise versus Rise thing they did. Interesting.
He can call himself Camp Ring.
Camp Ring. It's ring comp with a C instead of a K.
It's ring comp, like it's just ring camp. It's like camp. There's no F at the end of it.
He brings in Fight Mueller. Yeah, why? Well, why not, right? So we get kind of the match story of the show was Avalanche and Jurn Simmons in a no count out match.
Yeah, that was silly.
It was funny. It was very silly. Attitude Era-esque.
They're fighting all over the place during intermission, ended the show after the credits. Silly.
It was funny. At one point, Jurn Simmons steals someone's car keys, and he's like, which car is yours? Just points, and Jurn Simmons drives off in the vehicle to escape Avalanche, shows up at the end of the show to get his stuff back.
There was no winner in that match, dude.
The match never ended, so I believe...
Or did it because Jurn counted.
But there wasn't a ref, Jay.
But anyway, at friggin' 16 Karat Falls count anyway between those two first round.
First round match Falls count, very very fitting. It's they've turned this into a very long-term story, and no, it's not like the best feud that's going on in the company right now, but I'm into it. It's fine.
I don't like Jurn all that much.
Jurn Simmons. Well, who knows? Maybe Avalanche goes over.
Maybe. Kind of hope so.
Toni Storm is full heel now. She basically tells Killer Kelly she has nothing. She's just some chick named Kelly. Kind of like that. It was good.
Yeah. She was wearing a Kaze Nina shirt, which just instantly makes her like 1,000 times cooler.
I texted you that when I saw that. I was like, Killer Kelly, I think, became everyone's favorite wrestler.
Dude, I took a screenshot of that, and I tweeted it, and like she liked it, and I was like, yay!
She's a Minoru Suzuki fan. I think we're all Killer Kelly fans now, for sure.
Instantly, like, I just like Killer Kelly now.
Yeah. Bobby Guns gets another pin over Andy in the main event in the 6-man tag. So 16 Karat Gold is pretty hype. Possibly the best one yet with all the talent involved. It's going to be a good show.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good show. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Okay, with that, I think it's time we talk about New Japan. And I wish I had Switchblade Jay White's music, but instead I'm just going to play Naito's.
You could have played Kazan Nina already to fit into what we were just talking about.
I played it last time.
Just
and it gets copyrighted on YouTube every time. It's annoying.
You could use my remix of Naito's Stardust theme.
That doesn't get copyrighted.
No, your Rex is mine. I paid for it.
Okay, New Japan, New Beginnings in Osaka is what we're talking first here. I just have some little tidbit things written down. Because there's not a whole lot to talk about in New Japan, but a lot of interesting results.
Wait, are we talking New Beginnings from like 2-3 weeks ago?
It's only 2 weeks ago, Jay.
Are you serious? Felt like so much longer.
Well, the Osaka Sapporo, or the New Beginning Sapporo shows was 3 weeks ago. The Osaka was only 2 weeks. Yeah, time.
Where's the last 2 weeks gone?
Time hasn't flown that fast, apparently.
For me, it has. Moving on.
So Okada does another great job in a match against Bad Luck Fale. He wins, and devastatingly, I bring some terrible news, Jay.
What's going on?
Good guy Tama Tonga.
I don't know. He's a bad guy. He just snapped, man. It makes me sad.
He was turning a new leaf. I believed in him. How could he?
I don't know. I don't understand. I think he's going to be after me now, by the way, because I corrected one of his tweets.
Oh.
He can't spell.
Well, neither can you, so.
Yeah, that is also true. But I can spell better than Tomer, apparently.
Yeah. But the big story here is obviously the 30-minute match between Jay White and the former IWGP champion, Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Yes. Same place as the bloody Rainmaker shock, eh?
Yeah.
Same story going into it as well, essentially, like, just besides the fact that to this point Jay White had already beaten Okada, he'd beaten Tanahashi, he'd beaten Omega. Has he had a match with Naito yet? I don't think he has.
I don't think so. No, yes? No.
Ooh, interesting.
It doesn't it?
Interesting.
It immediately makes something come to mind.
Maybe Naito's the one that beats him.
Double champion, maybe?
Maybe that's what he was talking about on one of these shows.
Yep, indeed.
But I mean, Naito's got to get first Kota Ibushi first, which is going to be a match that I'm going to be like, oh man, this is happening. Why is this already happening? Oh man, this match.
We'll see.
Indeed.
So I really love this match, Jay. It worked perfectly, in my opinion. To me, this was a 5-star match.
It was good. What did Meltzer give it?
I'm not sure. I'm sure he gave it like 4.5.
I'll look it up.
I'm sure he gave it like 4.5 or something minimum.
I'll look it up.
So every move in this match
took place in Japan. He gave it 7.
I don't think it's as good as Tanahashi Omega from Wrestle Kingdom, but this was a fantastic match. Each guy worked the legs specifically, which played into the story that Jay White is going to get him with the Tanahashi tap out, his kind of reverse figure 4, the Indian Deathlock thing. And it really started once White did a back suplex spot over the top rope to the floor against Tanahashi, and then Tanahashi sold the knee, and then commentary they hopped on that like a bread knife. We'll go with like bread knife. Okay. They're just like, Tanahashi has missing cartilage in his knee. He's beat up all over. They just really harped home that, this could be more than just he just got tossed over and he jammed his knee. It really sold that well. What did he give it?
I'm still trying to find out.
Okay. So I really thought this was, if Jay White was to win, he was going to win with the Tanahashi tap out. But instead, he ended up winning by catching Tanahashi mid-air, so to say, on the high fly flow into a single Blade Runner for the pin. Just new champion. Holy shit. I remember when we were all discussing, how fast Jay White is going to rise to the top. Where do we see him in 2019? And this is when Omega was still with the company. I just assumed, Intercontinental title for 2019. Jay White's time would be 2020. around, next year, right? He gets built up even more in 2019 as a legitimate star. Give him the next singles title up from the U.S. title, you might say.
Yeah.
And needless to say, I think I know where they're going. Omega's not with the company anymore. And I truly believe if Omega was with the company still, they would not have put the belt on Jay White. I think they would have...
Apparently, the rumor is that at Wrestle Kingdom, Omega was supposed to retain, and then he was going to drop the title back to Okada at the G1 Super Show.
And then Jay White gets his shot there and possibly wins it later in the year, or maybe...
I'm not sure. That's because, apparently Okada was scheduled to win the New Japan Cup before all this happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's all speculation, but, are you in agreement with me? You don't think they would have put the belt on Jay White this early, unless, as what happened with Omega leaving?
Yeah, I'm in that agreement.
Okay, but there is a bright side, so I'll pose this question to you. Could be a negative. I don't know your answer. Is this too early for Jay White?
I don't know yet. Let's give his reign a little bit of time, and then I'll give you an answer.
Is that a good thing?
It is, because he's either going to sink or swim. We'll find out.
Why not? Right? I love it, actually. You want to strap the rocket to a guy, you've clearly built up a new star, right? A lot of people are behind him. He is the top 4 in the company now, no matter how you look at it. And he's taken those brass rings down from the top, and he's holding them himself. I love it personally. I think Jay White does deserve it. New Japan has booked this properly. He has proven it in his matches, and hard to believe that just 2 years ago at Wrestle Kingdom he was let's see here. In 2017 he had his IC title match against Tanahashi? Or was that 2018?
Who's this?
Jay White.
It was 2018 Wrestle Kingdom.
2018.
So it was last year.
So it was last year. He was just coming out of his Young Lion phase in 2017. So that's quite.
He made his debut at King of Pro Wrestling, back as a Switchblade, 2017, and then that's when he challenged Tanahashi.
Yeah, so that's quite the build.
Indeed. The match was given 4.5 stars.
Yeah, there you go. Look at me.
With that also being said, some other matches this year that have gotten 4.5 stars. Halftime Heat was given 4.5 stars. The Elimination Chamber from Elimination Chamber, the men's one, was given 4.5 stars.
I didn't watch that.
It was actually a really good match. Gibson and Drake versus Musash Mountain from Takeover Blackpool was 4.5 stars.
Yeah.
White and Okada from Wrestle Kingdom, which I don't think was a very good match because it was just way too short, was 4.5 stars.
It was effective though.
It was effective, but it didn't have a lot of Wrestle Kingdom this year didn't have the time that it deserved. The matches didn't build as well as they could have with a longer match. I'm just saying.
I probably would have given... Yeah, well, I already said White and Tanahashi to me was a 5-star match. That's my opinion on it.
There's only 4 matches this year that are over 4.5 stars.
Okay.
There's only one 5-star match this year so far from Meltzer, which is 5.5 stars, which was Omega versus Tanahashi.
Yeah, sounds right. It was a better match. It's the best match of the year easily.
Ospreay and Ibushi only got 4 3/4. Jericho and Naito got 4 3/4, and Ricochet and Gargano from Takeover Phoenix got 4 3/4.
Okay.
Just saying. Moving on.
Yeah, all right.
This is just my man's opinion on matches.
Yeah.
Who the internet seems to side with sometimes, and sometimes they decide to burn him at the stake.
I don't have much argument against it. So yeah, Jay White's champion. What do you think about a lot of the fans now that Omega's left and Kushida's left? Do you think New Japan has nobody left around?
No,
You think there's
they've got
depth issues?
Okada, they got Tanahashi, they got Naito, they got Jay White. They've got the tag team division, which is still pretty good. I've got no issues with it. They got. I'm still paying for New Japan World.
Okay. I mean, I'm in agreement. Well, you need your 4 stars. Okada hasn't been around that long. You know, Tanahashi's the one he's the only true vet who's been at the top forever, right? You don't. Shibata and Nakamura aren't there anymore, so you don't have those two.
Yeah, you've got Ospreay in the process of transitioning up.
Ospreay's on the rise up. Zack Sabre Jr. has been built up properly. He just needs a little push.
Suzuki's era is getting old. Like, he may retire in the next couple of years, but I mean, he's still Suzuki.
He's still Suzuki. You know, I don't think he's top 4 or 5 company type star, but
dude, he's putting on better matches than The Undertaker.
Well, yeah, that's not hard to do.
I'm just saying, he's Suzuki. Suzuki's 50 years old and would still kick my ass in a fight.
He would kick all our asses.
He would.
The only thing I would say is New Japan's kind of crux right now is their depth issues. And that's not at the top, for sure. They have all their top stars built. I'm saying the junior division, they're lacking a lot of depth, so they're having Taiji Ishimori face Jushin Thunder Liger as he successfully faced Ryusuke Taguchi, and I like that match. I was a fan. Yeah,
it was good.
Still got
good.
They just haven't focused on some of these older junior heavyweight stars in such a long time. It's hard to kind of get behind them, you know?
Well, maybe that's the thing. Like, they're trying to establish Ishimori as a new ace.
Yeah, but he's not as young as people think.
I know. I was shocked when I found out how old he was.
And he was the ace in Noah for fucking forever in their junior division. So you have the depth I'm kind of referring to is you don't have that top star depth in the junior division that you used to have, especially with Ospreay now leaving it. Skrull's going to be leaving. He's not in the picture anytime soon. So they need to bring in some guys. They need the spark. Yeah, you have Shingo. Hopefully Hiromu comes back sooner rather than later, assuming he's okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's 3 guys.
But dude, they've got the working relationship with Ring of Honor and CMLL. It's not like they're going to be short on like stars if they need anybody.
Well, Ring of Honor's in the process of attempting their meek attempt of building new stars that are on temp contracts, which baffles me. But I mean, they have all these partnerships, right? But how often do we see these guys? That's kind of an issue.
I don't know. I guess popped into my head like Haskins versus Ishimori junior title.
Like, the possibilities are there, don't get me wrong. Like, Best of the Super Juniors this summer is going to be very intriguing who they bring in.
Haskins will be there, I hope. I like Haskins.
I hope Jonathan Gresham, personally.
You don't like Haskins?
Well, I love Haskins. You know I love Haskins. I'm just saying.
I know, I'm just saying that, like, Haskins, dude, Haskins, Boss J, let's do it.
Whose body can handle that kind of workload, though?
Haskins, Boss J, let's do it.
Okay, fine. All right, fine. Let's do it. Oh, man.
Dragon will be there probably.
There's a lot of freelancers.
What was that?
There's a lot of freelancers in Japan that could fill out that junior division. I just watched Dragon Gate, and yeah, their company's kind of built on a different motto altogether, but they have a lot of young up-and-coming talent that are fighting for the top of the card. And when I kind of see a comparison, when I can compare something like that to New Japan's junior division, this is where New Japan's kind of ideal behind its weight class being a strict rule, and the heavyweights always going over the junior weights. I really want to see Ospreay in the New Japan Cup start to break this mold, right? You can still
his
have
first matches against Fale. You think
really
he's going over Fale?
That's what really worries me, because Fale is the underboss. He's the fucking big dude, right?
He's fat. He's fat for Fale.
He don't lose unless Okada, and even then, Okada's not even a sure thing.
I mean, maybe Ospreay's quick and Fale just falls over because you can't catch him.
If you want to keep Fale strong, I think you gotta get a DQ finish or something, and then Ospreay can kind of prove himself in the next round or two. I would like to see Ospreay get far. You know, it would bring...
Yeah.
Jay, hear me out. It would bring more relevance to the open title because Ospreay has it.
I'm with you.
Ospreay is also playing the role of breaking that mold of the junior to heavyweight not being able to compete each other. Yeah, he's that transition and gatekeeper character.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big deal to me as a fan that Ospreay does well coming up.
So let me have a quick look here or something.
It kind of scares me.
Keep going. It does. So looking at so if Ospreay beats Fale, I think he goes up against Hinare or Lance Archer.
Yeah, he can beat those two. They can lose.
And then he would get stuck with Okada.
And Okada can beat him.
Okada would then beat.
And Okada can beat him. That's fine.
What do you think?
Imagine,
Monkey
just
Nichols goes?
imagine, Jay. Put it in your mind, a little fantasy mind. Let's meet of the minds. Ospreay goes over Okada and meets finals returning champion Zack Sabre Jr.
That'd be crazy.
That would never happen. Who am I kidding?
It would never happen. It would never happen. And besides, Ospreay's got his friggin' match against Jay White at the anniversary show.
Oh, that's gonna be good.
Indeed.
That's gonna be good. See, Ospreay can lose that too, and then he has this good showing in the New Japan Cup and starts to break. It's
as long as he has a good showing against White, it'll be fine.
I mean, no, because then it's not necessarily totally fine, because then it just continues to reaffirm the stereotype of the juniors can't beat the heavyweights, right?
I'm just saying, dude. I'm just saying.
I know, but if Ospreay does,
they're not going to have another champion go over the heavyweight champion.
That's where it's okay with me. You know, it's very conflicting emotions I'm going through, Jay. I'm very stressed out right now. It's stressful times. I have 16 Carot called New Japan Cup coming on. God damn it.
Just move on. You're in your safe place. Let's just move on.
Okay. So Jay White has the title. Depth issues. Moving on. Honor Rising Day 1, before we get distracted. Ospreay versus Dalton Castle. Do you like this?
I did.
Yeah. 17 minutes, 30 seconds.
Corey likes what was that?
17 minutes, 30 second match. It's a good time.
It was good. Dalton looks like he's good again. Either that or Ospreay made him look good. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I think Ospreay's such a good talent about this. Castle's still got that big weight support belt on him. You know, and he's still not suplexing guys. Power. He looks like he's about 75% back.
Yeah, but a 75% Dalton Castle's better than like 100% John Cena.
Well, depends on the platform you look at it, but
just saying. Just saying.
It is more of a wrestling match. I agree. 75% Dalton Castle is much better than a lot of people out there because he has character. He oozes charisma.
Indeed. And just remember here, if Dalton can't go, we've got Smooth Sailing that we can go with. True. Indeed.
If Dalton wasn't hurting, I'd be interested in seeing him do a G1, just to see. Be very curious. It'd be
he's
better
over.
him.
Japan love him.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's very over in Japan. People love the boys. I love the boys.
Freaking Corey thought that the big boy was Goto. I'm like, that's not Goto, you idiot.
Could you imagine Goto fanning off Dalton Castle?
It's pretty funny though to think about, eh?
Dalton Castle snaps his fingers. Come on, Samurai, get over here. Oh my god.
Fan me off.
Fan me off. I'm feeling a bit sweaty from this aerial assassin.
It's pretty great. Like, then Goto's a step.
Oh no.
Because, like, you can't use a ring step. You got to climb the boys.
Yeah, that's right. He was right next to the ring steps and he still climbed over the boys. It was really funny.
It was pretty funny.
There was the Dream Team match of Tana, Okada, and Lethal. They defeated the Kingdom in it was a match. It was fine. Whatever. You were there for the Dream Team. Let's be honest.
I was.
So,
did you see the New Japan with that context thing where Okada's like, it's funny. I like Jay Lethal, but I don't like Jay White. It mustn't be the name. Or something like that. It was along those lines. It's just like, wow.
God. You wonder why Okada doesn't get on the mic very often.
It's pretty funny.
That's so stupid. It's goofy. At least it's real. That's what I like about it, at least. Yeah, all right. So, Matt Taven, to me, I used to be a big Matt Taven fan. But ever since I was feeling the haircut and the whole purple title, I'm the real Ring of Honor champion. This new gimmick he's sporting, though, it's fallen so far from grace. Yeah. He doesn't seem like the same wrestler anymore. I don't know if he's battling through injuries. I definitely don't like the gloves on him. I don't know, it just irritates me. That's just a Marky thing to say, though. Do you think Matt Taven deserves a title run at this point now? In Ring of Honor?
We'll talk about that last night on Smack It Down. I think he does, but Corey and Travis, who was a special guest last night, don't like Taven enough to give him a title run. But with this being said, like, is it the right time to do it because of the G1 Supercard show coming up?
Oh, no, definitely not. Taven's not over enough. Jay
So
Lethal
not
just needs to show
yet,
up.
but I don't have a problem with Taven like a lot of people do.
Yeah, I used to be a fan. And as I said just before. But, it's just not clicking anymore. It has a lot to do with Ring of Honor booking, I'll be honest. It really does. Just so...
Radio.
He has this group behind him, and it just seems like they always lose. You know? They're not going for the tag titles.
The trios champions.
Big deal. There's no other trios in Ring of Honor. I mean, you have Lifeblood, but who gives a shit about that? They lost.
They did.
Which we'll get to in a second. Well, anyways, we're not feeling Matt Taven.
Yeah, I am, but moving on.
I think they should have put the title on him at last year at some point. But anyways, Jeff Cobb beat Goto, remains TV champion. I quite like this match. It was good. It was much better than the one from California last year.
Yeah, Cobb got a better match out of Goto. Or did Goto get a better match out of Cobb? That's the way you look at it. Tell me now.
Well, Goto can work with anybody. I think the difference here was they had more time, and Cobb was able to suplex more. You know?
Fair enough. He's the Hawaiian suplex machine.
Oh yeah. So it was a good power test of strength type match that you don't get to see too often. It was different. I quite enjoyed it. It was refreshing to see.
Indeed.
Yeah. Honor Rising Day 2, not much to say here at all. I mean, the show was fun, it was fine, but takeaway was the Guerrillas of Destiny get the IWGP Tag Team titles back, defeating Los Ingobernables de Japón, Sonata and Evil, 20 minutes, 20 seconds, brilliant match. I mean, about what you would expect out of the two teams.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then Lifeblood successfully do not win the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships against the Briscoes.
They successfully lose, so this is
do.
where it gets weird. So the match was 17 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
The story in the match was Finlay has previous shoulder injuries, right? Briscoes went after it. Well, at the end of the match, Finlay does a top rope dive, and he kind of clips his legs awkwardly on the ropes, and he lands directly on that shoulder that was worked the whole match. And he doesn't really get up. He finishes the match. Turns out that he actually separated his shoulder.
Oh, so it was actually a legit.
It turned out this work at the start ended up being a legit injury. So
It was a shoot.
No, it was not a shoot. He fell awkwardly. He botched a move and hurt himself. Glad he's okay, but his shoulder is not in a good shape. I believe it's his second shoulder injury in about 4 months, and his fourth shoulder injury overall. So we're looking injury prone here. It's not a good sign for David Finlay. He needs to put on more. He needs to get more thick, you know? He needs to protect his body more.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue. It's like a lot of women in Stardom. They're too skinny, so then when they take those stiff moves, it just things pop out of place. Tears happen. I'm seeing something similar with Finlay here. But nonetheless, Briscoes win. They cut a post-match promo, and they make a challenge for the Gorillas of Destiny title versus title at the G1 Supercard in Madison Square Garden. Dude.
I'm in.
Dude.
I'm in. You're going to that show. I'm in. I'm so glad that they announced that this is going to be on New Japan World as well, because, like, I'm in.
Why would it not be on New Japan World?
Because I had problems thinking that it may not be. Okay, I'm sorry.
At least it's not. At least you don't have to watch it on fucking Ring of Honor TV or whatever that is.
We'll pay for a fight, which turns out to be $62 Australian.
Yeah, gross. Just get New Japan World.
I've got New Japan World. I don't have a problem with this.
I'm telling that to the listeners.
Oh, okay.
Don't bother.
The website's not as hard to navigate as people think it is. As long as you're watching live stuff, it's fine.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's also easy to find within the first couple weeks of the show airing. How many people go back and watch old stuff?
Yeah, there's people out there though that bitch about the New Japan World site. There's nothing wrong with it as long as you're watching
just
something
click the
new.
English button, you're fine.
Exactly.
God.
Exactly.
Be such put off by foreign language. All right, title versus title. The booking will be interesting. I'm excited. I always like a title versus title match. I hope you know what, Jay. I hope this goes to a 30-minute draw.
Oh yeah, that's
You just beat the shit out of each other for 30 minutes. No one wins. They go home.
I hope it's not a draw though, because like is that a cop out?
No, just make your titles look strong. Now, if you ask me who I want to win, I want to see the fucking Briscoes take those titles, and then we see them in New Japan.
You and Corey have two different takes on that opinion.
Ooh, he wants God to show up in Ring of Honor more.
He is a God mark.
Oh, that's right, he is. I just think the Briscoes, being who they are and the vets that they are, a New Japan tag title run would be pretty cool, and the fact that they have the Ring of Honor tag titles with them would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. The Briscoes are crazy. I like the Briscoes.
Personal and political issues aside, naturally.
That is also a very good point. But they're chicken strong, man. They're chicken strong.
Chicken strong. So yeah, lots of good indie wrestling here. Jay, any final thoughts and words?
No, it's an interesting time, like, because there's 2 or 3 tournaments in the next few weeks, and because things are interesting. So we're not that far right now from Super Strong Style 16 either.
Oh my god, so much.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Okay. Well, Jay, thank you very much. If you guys want to go check out Jay here, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at the Big Village Addy, or on the Smack It Down podcast on iTunes and wherever good podcasts are found.
And he's now a host on the Red Leaf Retrocast, Modern Gaming Edition. Happy to have you.
Not gonna lie, I completely forgot about that because we only record that once a month.
It's fine. Alrighty. Well, thank you, and get back to just me talking about other stuff.
Alright, thanks for having me, dude.
Hey, do you like wrestling?
Whether it be in a bar, an arena, some weird place in Asia, or in a stadium,
Or the occasional penisplex?
well, if any of these things might tickle your fancy, anywhere in between from penises to wrestling, you can come and check out our podcast.
Our podcast name is Smack It Down. We talk all things WWE, New Japan, anything else in between.
I am Jay Silver,
I'm Corey Gold.
and we look forward to you joining us.
Happy Rusev Day.
Happy Rusev Day indeed.
Okay. Hot damn, that's a lot of wrestling to talk about. We're going to finish this show with how we always do it. We got a 5-star review before we go into our last segment here. It is by Jack over on the iTunes. Let me just read this 5-star review directly at me, too. JD is a great guy and a great host and never fails to put on an excellent podcast. From gaming to anime to wrestling, he really knows his stuff, and you would be remiss to not subscribe and give it a listen. 5 stars over on iTunes. And that is our last iTunes review to read. We're all out. I looked over at Stitcher. We keep losing. Keep getting reviews deleted over there. And the ones that are there now are repeated ones from iTunes, which I really appreciate. If you want to leave us a review and get it read on the cast, not only does it help us, but it also gets the word out in a lot of the searches and gets us to come up more. Head on over to iTunes, Red Leaf Retrocast. Even on Stitcher, if your review gets deleted, I would love to keep reading all of these on per episode basis. Nonetheless, let's move on to WCW Thunder. But alas, it was the go-home show on the previous episode of 24 of the Retrocast. So therefore, we have reached the next pay-per-view. Already! How quick? How much time has fly? How much time has flown? WCW Slamboree 1998. Been looking forward to this show. Considering the previous pay-per-view knocked it out of the park. I really liked it. We have a lot of good stories heading into this one. A lot of good rivalries. Well, what happened? A lot happened on this show. Oh my god, a lot happened. Mid-1998. Took place May 1998. Here we go. Opening match. WCW World Television title. Fit Finlay versus Chris Benoit. As we know, Fit Finlay, on episode of Nitro, beat Booker T for the title, and he's in defense mode. 14 minutes, 52 seconds. These two got plenty of time to work. These are workhorse guys. Real good working match. 90s, so you know what to expect. There was a real good, dangerous chair spot where Chris Benoit does a suicide dive. Fit Finlay puts a chair up. Chris Benoit's head goes into the chair. This contributes to the loss. Fit Finlay defends it. Awesome. What a match. Great way to start off the night. Well, this quickly gets dissipated because our next match is a singles match between Lex Luger against Bryan Adams with Vincent in his corner. And this is exactly how it sounds. The match is only 5 minutes, and to me it was 4 minutes too long. Lex Luger wins with the torture rack. Now, this next set of segments here is quite funny because we have a WCW World Cruiserweight title #1 contendership battle royal, of all things. Chris Jericho gets on the mic, and he's introducing everyone that's coming out for this match. And he's cracking jokes about every single one of them. Cracks jokes about let's see here. Yeah, I wrote one of the jokes down. If Silver King, if he gets 10 more wins, he'll earn his way up to be Golden King. So he's cracking jokes like that. The match isn't all that long. It features a lot of luchadors. Marty Jannetty was in the match, but the match only lasts just under 9 minutes, and we get this wild ending where Juventud Guerrera is looking directly at Ciclope, of all guys. Remember that guy? He's the Halloween type character. He's got the Cyclops eye gimmick. Juventud Guerrera looks at him directly and pats him on the chest, eliminates himself from the match. Ciclope takes the mask off out of nowhere, reveals himself to be Dean fucking Malenko, turns around hard. Jericho's shocked because he was going to jump him from behind, takes him aback. The match starts with the Cruiserweight title, and holy shit, Dean Malenko was on fire. Chris Jericho was in defensive mode. It turns out to be a fast-paced match. This match lasts 7 minutes. Incredible. Crowd just explodes when it was revealed to be Dean Malenko, and he starts laying in the punches. Jericho's defensive. Then they start doing their moves back and forth. Jericho gets a little bit of offense in, but the story here is Dean Malenko gets the title. He wins the Cruiserweight title. He finally wins a pay-per-view match after all of the failures, after leaving WCW to go home for a little bit. We haven't seen him since. Great long-term storytelling here. The shock reveal. This is the kind of booking we're missing in a lot of today's mainstream wrestling. Fun. What a reaction. Moving on to something more deathmatchy. We have the Bowery Death Cage match. It's a closed-in cage with weapons in it. To be blunt enough about it. It's Diamond Dallas Page versus Raven. They're settling their differences. Great rivalry conclusion, I must say. This was a fucking fun-ass match. Even when members of the flock got involved, this is just a good story of the babyface, the people's champion, the guy who we wanted to see overcome the odds for once. DDP gets the win over Raven. Raven does have his Riot Squad on the outside. Well, near the end of the match and post-match, a Riot Squad member is seen handcuffing members of the flock. He handcuffs the big dude Reese to the outside, so I guess that's why he didn't directly get involved in the cage match itself with DDP and Raven. Since DDP had diamond cut everybody, a real nice diamond cutter of Kidman kind of floating off the top, hanging off the top of the cell and being caught into a diamond cutter. Really cool. Well, this Riot Squad member handcuffs the rest of the members of the flock, and including Raven, to the cell. Right? He demasks, or he takes off the Riot helmet. Turns out to be Mortis. Remember weeks and weeks and weeks ago, months ago, on an episode of Thunder, where Raven kind of convinced Mortis to try and take out DDP, and Raven ends up even flow DDTs him on the ramp, takes him out. We haven't seen him since. Well, he's back. He's getting a little revenge here. Well, Mortis then demasks, and he's just this brutal-looking dude with long black hair, real tall. Since Raven's everyone's tied up, Raven has his hands behind his back tied to the cage. He's just looking at him. Massive chair shot from this dude to Raven. It's just brutal. I put a GIF over it on Twitter. Apple and JD, you can find it. It's just brutal looking. So who is this guy? I'll spoil it. Turns out to be Chris fucking Canyon. But this was quite the turn and debut, I must say. Has my attention. If I didn't know what happened later, I would say I'm very excited to see who this dude is and what he's going to bring to the table. We're talking about in the now, and what I saw at Slamboree, this was awesome. Cool stuff. Moving on, singles match. Eddie Guerrero with Chavo in his corner against Ultimo Guerrero. Or, I'm sorry, my God. Ultimo Dragon. Jesus, way different guy. So I believe if Ultimo Dragon wins, then he frees Chavo from Eddie's grasp. Well, Ultimo Dragon blows it, so to say. Shenanigans involved. And Chavo ends up kind of turning, and Eddie's like shocked, and he's like, hey, look at this guy, he's finally listened to me. Eddie kind of cools him down. So does Chavo blow his gasket? Yeah. Is this going to lead to another match, maybe on Thunder against Ultimo Dragon? I hope so. It was fine. Yeah, it was an 11-minute match. Served a purpose, I suppose. It was a good come me down after that wild cage match we just witnessed. So, U.S. heavyweight title match, Goldberg versus Saturn. This was built up as it was supposed to be a flock gauntlet match, where if any members of the flock beats Goldberg, then Raven wins the title, but I guess this was changed, because there was a promo just earlier in the night where Perry Saturn, was, he cut a promo about the flock not being totally, they don't make all the decisions. Saturn was upset with his loss at Spring Stampede to Goldberg. He's like, wasn't ready or some nonsense. So he's taken it upon himself, taken it in his own hands, and he wants, if he wins, then he's winning the U.S. title for himself, not the flock. So, nevertheless, this match went 7 minutes. Goldberg wins. You know, it was better than their Spring Stampede match. I will say that. But nonetheless, moving on. We have a singles match with special guest referee Roddy Piper, because he has to deal with newly turned heel NWO member Bret Hitman Hart against Wolfpack NWO member Randy Savage, or newly formed Wolfpack. Still not quite clear if that's totally official or not. They're just kind of, you know, they're not wearing, Savage didn't come out in, did he come out in Wolfpack gear? I don't remember now. I didn't write that down. Nevertheless, these two have a good match. Savage is kind of selling, you know, the messed up knee. Hart is just so good at working a limb and selling when needs to make the babyface Randy Savage get over, like, at the right times. It was a good match. There was some shenanigans at the end with Piper getting hit and thinking Savage did it with this. They weren't brass knuckles, but it was kind of this hard rubber thing on the fist. So Hart gets Savage in the sharpshooter, and Savage still has the hard rubber around his hand that he stole from Hart. So Piper thinks Savage hit him when it was in fact Bret Hart who hit him. And so it was a mixture of a tap out and a DQ finish. It wasn't quite clear, but it doesn't matter. Bret Hart does win in a 16.5-minute match. You know, not how I imagine in my head these two having a match like this. It was overbooked for sure. I kind of wish it went more of the 20-minute long affair and we got a clear winner, but that's not the way WCW does things, especially not in the late 90s. Nevertheless, my boy Bret Hart wins. Moving on to the main event, which is the WCW World Tag Team titles, which of we haven't fucking seen in months, but we have this crazy build for them, which is quite funny. We have Sting and the Giant teaming up, newly formed member, newly joined the Giant to the NWO, facing the outsiders of Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, with Dusty Rhodes in their corner, as they have formed the new NWO Wolfpack of the Black and Red, as they've detracted from Hogan's Black and White NWO. That's where the story comes in. If Sting and Giant win, Sting has a choice to make. That was the story. Match was okay, I guess. It was fine. Not really much to complain about, really. It was just slow. It was just a lot of big dudes in the ring. What stands out is this really weird and shock ending. It was definitely shocking. Because Nash is about to... He signals a jackknife to the Giant. And Hall gets in the ring and hits Nash over the back of the head with the tag title belt. With a tag title belt. Giant falls on Nash. Giant and Sting win the match. They're the new tag team champions. What the hell just happened? Hall has now betrayed his longtime best friend, original NWO member himself, Kevin Nash. Sting sold this like a fucking champ, I will say. He just stood on the apron, just looked at what happened, jaw dropped. And then even when they put the tag, even when Giant put the tag strap over Sting, Sting just kind of looked at him and Hall celebrating, just didn't move. He's just like, what? Tony Schiavone on commentary, Mike Tenay, they're just like, what the fuck? So it was all sold really well. I really liked how all the wrestlers and commentary involved sold the match. Just the booking is just, it's so out of left field and overbooked. So, not quite clear if Dusty Rhodes was a part of the Scott Hall turn or not. That wasn't clear to me. He was in the ring, but he wasn't, hugging with him. Sting's not making it clear if he's joining the Giant. He's just so confused right now. What we do know is Scott Hall and the Giant are going to have questions for Sting if he's joining the NWO, and how will Kevin Nash react? And will Bret Hart and Randy Savage continue their thing with that screwy finish? So, Slamboree was good. I don't think it was as good as Spring Stampede, but it was definitely a good show. A lot of good moments. I liked it. Let's hope Thunder continues a trend upward and we don't get a main event screwy finish. Hold my breath. So, okay. That was it for WCW Thunder. Nice and quick segments today. Got those wrestler rankings to go through. As I do. A lot of good matches. Very tough. So here we go. Starting with the women, as we do. And if you're joining for the first time, you don't know how these wrestling rankings work. Over the previous 2 weeks of wrestling, I ranked the top 15 men that I saw and the top 10 women that I saw wrestle. Their matches, promos, segments, all of that is taken into account. So this is what we came up with. And yes, this year I am keeping men and women just completely separate from the start. So, mostly because there's less women wrestlers in the world than men, and I see more men than... Anyways, moving on. Number 10, women, Konami. 9, Taya Valkyrie. 8, Takiya Saya. 7, Hana Kimura. 6, Tessa fucking Blanchard. 5, Maika Ozaki. She's the power builder from Ice Ribbon. That really stood out for the number one in that 2 out of 3 falls match. Number 4, Tsukushi, the winner of that. Number 3, Momo Watanabe herself. 2, Jamie Hayter. And 1 is, in a shocking turn of events, Chris Statlander, the newbie. She won an intergender tournament, for Christ's sake, against well-known wrestlers. Maybe Chris Dickinson's not so well-known, but nonetheless, good list there. Oh, the men I was back and forth on this list all 2 weeks. I even took Dragon Gate into account because they were from February shows, really. 15 is Ryusuke Taguchi himself, Mr. 69. He proved he can still go in that junior division. 14, Kazuchika Okada. Yeah, he has good matches. We've heard of him. 13, MJF. His matches haven't stood out to me, but everything he does stands out to me, and that matters. 12 is Barbaro Cavernario. 11 is Titan from their fantastic CML match from Friday night on the 22nd. 10 is Taiji Ishimori. I really liked... first of all, he defended the title well. I really liked their match. And I love the booking behind the Honor Rising tag match where Jushin Liger got one over on him, and he just threw like the biggest shocked bitch fit I've seen in booking in a long time. He sold it well. 9 is Shun Skywalker. 8 is KZ. There's your Dragon Gate guys. They got on the list, boys. Be happy. 7 is Walter. He's made the list for the first time, the defending champion. He's had just good showings against Young Lions. He's now the number 1 contender for the UK title over in WWE. We saw that coming. But man, that match against Fight Muller, to get a match of that quality and caliber out of basically a rookie, that takes a lot of skill. 6 and 5, respectively, is Jordan Devlin, David Starr. Their match is a match of the year candidate over in OTT Homecoming 2. That's just the story involved, the build, the match itself, the intensity. Loved it all. 4, Hiroshi Tanahashi. He's the ace. 3, Will Ospreay. He's Will Ospreay. 2 is Pac. I've seen so much of him in February. He has to be this high. He didn't have a bad match, whether that was against Walter, where he dislocated his finger twice, defended his title in Dragon Gate, faced Will Ospreay over in Rev Pro. I mean, shit, the dude's been everywhere. He's putting in solid work. He's definitely one of the top workers in the world right now. And number 1 is Jay Goddamn White. I thought about putting him 2 in Pack 1, but at the end of the day, this is what it came down to. The booking, the push, the solidity of the match with Hiroshi Tanahashi, where every move mattered. He's the IWGP champion at such a young age. The rocket's been thrown to him. I had to put them 1. There was no way around it. Great stuff. So, that shoots Jay White up, way up the top of the table. So you'll see the updated rankings table. If you go on to Twitter, @BowlingJD, #RedleafRetrocast, you'll see the updated total rankings to the table. If you want to hit up the Red Leaf Retrocast on Twitter, again, @BowlingJD, use the hashtag #RedleafRetrocast. We'll see it. You can also hit us up on Instagram. Same deal. And don't forget to check out our affiliated sites and groups, such as Retro Twitch over on Discord. You can go RetroTwitch.com on Twitter to find that Discord link. Fun retro gaming community. Lots of streamers over there. I like just conversing with all of them. They're a good community to have. And then the conglomeration site of Anime Radicals. Go check them out. Red Leaf Retrocast is a part of it. Big conglomeration site of many good anime podcasts, all coming together to do things that they can't normally do on their own. And we're glad to be a part of it. That's Anime Radicals. They got Twitter. They're on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, all that great stuff. But don't forget to come check out Red Leaf Retrocast. We have anime, obviously wrestling, that's why you're here, retro gaming, and modern gaming. And I thank you for joining me on this episode of the Red Leaf Retrocast. Dead End at Homecoming. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.